Bai Lian faces the Gaokao, a battle fought alone, while her song soars to unimaginable popularity. A family name hangs in the balance, and alliances are as fragile as silk. Leave a like and subscribe to walk this path with her. Yan Lu's achievements in the future would not be low. Come Here Friend reached a new peak in popularity. In this period, even students in closed schools had heard of Come Here Friend, Jingjiang Preparatory Camp, and Kai Yundai to some extent. Both Yan Lu and the show had become explosively popular. Previously, Yan Lu had entered the public eye because of her songs, but what everyone was familiar with were the songs, not her as a person. The fans of Dean Jian and Bai Jian were even more numerous than hers. But after the show aired, Yan Lu became popular with unimaginable heat. The crew of Great Yang also took the opportunity to release a trailer. Zhao Jingzhu's law office. He swiped his screen and then found Yan Lu's Weibo to follow. "Zhao Lu," his assistant said in surprise, "how is Professor Kai so familiar with this celebrity?" Logically, Kai Yundai shouldn't know these people. Zhao Jingzhu put down his phone, recalling the scene he saw in Xiancheng, and said calmly, "He shouldn't be familiar with Yan Lu." Kai Yundai was very respectful to that man and to one of his students. Wednesday. In the evening, Xiang Mountain Avenue. Suhi dragged his suitcase out of the taxi. "You've arrived." His mother's call came through. Suhi just responded with a hum. "I heard the third young master is back, leaving you alone in Xiancheng." Sue's mother paused a bit, wanting to ask if her son could ever return to Jiangjing, but fearing to hurt him, she didn't ask. Don't worry, maybe the situation is not as bad as we imagine." Not so bad. Suhi looked at the buildings around him, indeed not as dilapidated as he had imagined. The roads were also newly paved. "I know, the great lady values this place." He forced a smile to comfort his mother. "Perhaps Miss Bai is also very good." His mother did not speak again. In fact, both of them knew very well that Miss Bai was from Xiancheng, and even if Xiancheng was good, how much better could it be? There wasn't even a 6th-rank martial artist to hold up the facade. Coming here was tantamount to being exiled, and Suhi's place of exile was not even the Su family, but an unknown martial arts school, from where returning to Jiangjing would be as difficult as reaching the heavens. Suhi didn't continue speaking. He quickly found Xingyi Martial Arts School following the directions on his navigation app. This place was at the entrance to a scenic area. The lighting was not very bright. Compared to the splendid Su family training base, Xingyi Martial Arts School was not large, with many tourists at the entrance. Those passing by were all ordinary people. He had anticipated this before coming, so Suhi knocked on the door without much expectation. The door was opened from inside by a middle-aged man wearing a white practice uniform, his forehead covered with sweat, and his eyes as cold as stars. "Teacher Suhi?" Suhi was startled by the man's imposing manner, and he composed himself. "Yes, it's me. Just in time, Miss Bai has been waiting for you for a long time." Jin Kai smiled, opened the door for Suhi to enter. "I am the hall master here, and we are very grateful for your help this time." Suhi followed Jin Kai with surprise, and upon entering, he saw the people training on the left side. There were not many people training at this time. One person was swinging long fists, and it seemed like you could see dust being lifted by the force of the punches, moves that he had never seen before. Suhi secretly wondered as he could tell these martial artists were not untrained. He followed Jin Kai down a corridor to the backyard. In front of the stone table in the backyard, a girl was lounging on a bench next to it, dressed in a blue and white school uniform, her top loose, her legs slightly crossed, and one hand tapping on her phone on the table. She was casually accepting an orange from a middle-aged woman, and the dim light in the yard cast a golden glow on her. "Miss Bai!" Jin Kai took a step forward and reported to her. "He's here." Bai Lian slowly peeled the orange, looking at Suhi, and arched an eyebrow. 6th rank? Even though the girl in front of him looked young and delicate, Suhi felt an inexplicable pressure, and he tensed inwardly. "Yes, Miss Bai." Although he had suffered internal injuries, he was indeed of the 6th rank. Bai Lian had already heard from Jin Kai that Suhi was there as a substitute. She broke off a segment of the orange, tossed it into her mouth, leaned on the table with her elbow, and after a moment's thought said, "Have a go with Hall Master Jin." Facing a fight right away, Soo-hee hesitated for a moment, but then he set his luggage aside and with an apologetic look toward Jin Kai, said, "I apologize in advance as in sparring punches and kicks can slip." Family dealing with an ordinary border town person was not a problem. Hall Master Jin tightened his belt and with great elegance raised his hand and flashed a grin at him. Soo-hee's expression was solemn as he stepped back with his left foot and took out his signature guardian boxing technique, charging straight for Jin Kai's face. Jin Kai blocked his right hand and reversed the move to pin him down. He was strong, bang. Soo-hee was thrown to the ground. "Ah!" Bai Lian stood up, closely observing Soo-hee's condition, then turned to Jin Kai and said, "He's a bit weak. Give him a medicinal bath tomorrow and see if he can adapt to it first." Jin Kai nodded and went outside to prepare the medicinal herbs. Only Soo-hee lay on the ground, lost in confusion, staring up at the starry sky. Wasn't it said that there weren't even 6th-level practitioners here? Shouldn't he be the only 6th-level master? Why couldn't he even beat an ordinary hall master? The script was not playing out as he had expected. Only after dealing with Soo-hee did Bai Lian take out her smartphone and open her conversation with Mao Kun. Mao Kun, 2 million. He was referring to the invitation in her possession. 2 million, 4 times higher than the starting price on the black market. Bai Lian was expressionless. When Jiang Fulai parked the car, he saw her leaning lazily against a tree with her school bag, dressed in a school uniform, her eyes languid and her face clean and simple. Behind her was the entrance to Purist Street. These past few days, the street had surged in popularity, and the crowd streamed endlessly. Lights flickered into points, all fading into her backdrop. He rolled down the car window and honked the horn, signaling her to get in. This was not a good place to park. Bai Lian got into the car and fastened her seatbelt, her phone automatically connected to Bluetooth, and as Jiang Fulai merged with the traffic, he asked, "Why weren't you listening to your vocabulary words?" "I forgot," Bai Lian said. Looking down, she leisurely opened her vocabulary application. While listening, she switched to a message from Su Nanjing. "Will you come back?" On the other side of the phone, Su Nanjing had just boarded the plane and was about to shut it off when he received Bai Lian's message, which amused him. "I can't come back for a short while. It takes too much time." Bai Lian tapped on her smartphone. "Give me an address, I'll send something." He sent her an address and then asked, "Are you going to send me some local specialty?" Bai Lian. She leaned back and asked Jiang Fulai, "Are you familiar with Soo-hee?" Jiang Fulai's driving was steady. Nanjing mentioned him. "He's a collateral member of the Su family, trustworthy." Su Nanjing knew that the martial arts training hall was Bai Lian's place, so he would naturally inform Jiang Fulai when sending someone over. On the phone, Su Weniao's concerned message popped up, asking if the pressure from her studies was too much recently. Bai Lian replied that it was manageable. As the car was nearing Purist Street, Jiang Fulai tapped his fingers leisurely on the steering wheel and asked, "Not going to eat first?" "It's still early today," Bai Lian said with lowered eyes, scrolling on her smartphone screen. She was planning to go back home today. "I'm going back to have dinner with Grandpa." Jiang Fulai then fell silent. When the car reached Purist Street, Jiang Fulai parked and walked with Bai Lian into the area, enjoying a moment of rare tranquility. Jiang Fulai stood to the left of Bai Lian, walking at an unhurried pace, the street lights and moonlight above, his profile bathed in the light, his features sparse and handsome, quiet yet emanating a sense of cool detachment. The two stopped under a street lamp at the corner. Jiang Fulai stopped and turned his head to look at her, slightly reaching out his hand. Meanwhile, in Jiangjing, at the residence of the Su family matriarch, it was rare for the entire Su family to dine together. The Su family matriarch looked at Su Weniao with discontent. "It's been several months now. How long are you planning to make trouble with Cheyenne?" Su Weniao put down his smartphone and picked up his chopsticks, stating plainly, "Grandma, we broke up." The Qi family was a connection the Su family matriarch made with great effort, and she would not allow Su Weniao to be foolish at this critical juncture. The Su family matriarch was on the verge of exploding. Su En looked up to stop her. "Mom, the patriarch's big birthday celebration this year is important, and what gift we should give him still needs your discerning eye." The board of directors and I have not decided yet. The main family? Bai Lian had married into the Su family, and it was the first time she had heard this term. She couldn't help but look up. She naturally knew that in a place like Jiangjing, the Su family was just a marginal clan. But even such a marginal clan was a target she and the Bai and Song families had chased for so long. So what was this main family that the Su family was talking about? That's true. The issue had been classified as a top priority by the Su family this year, which diverted the Su family matriarch's attention. You should bring some gifts and ask the Qi family, and also your old classmate's daughter, the talented girl from the Calligraphy Association, right? See if among their acquaintances there is a collector whose calligraphy or paintings we can buy. The butler nodded in agreement. If we could get authentic works from Liang Ziyuan or Bai Xiangjun, that would be even better. Mr. Chen favored the style of Liang, so that circle had a certain preference for works in that style. Su En knew the Su family matriarch was referring to Su Yajun. I'll ask them. It's a pity we don't have anyone in our family who practices calligraphy. The Su family matriarch set down her chopsticks, feeling quite regretful. Compared to the wealthy families of Xinjiang district, we can't match them in terms of valuable gifts. It would be best to give something that resonates with the patriarch's taste. Maybe if he's pleased, we could move back home. Something that met the patriarch's taste, be it a person or an object, would do. Hearing this, Su Weniao's mind stirred, turning to Bai Lian. Alien used to learn calligraphy, right? Su Weniao had seen Bai Lian's handwriting. Neat and yet with her own style, it was very attractive. Yes, I remember too, Su En nodded as well. This time, old Madame Su looked at Bai Lian with some surprise, calculating something in her mind. What style of calligraphy did she learn? Bai Lian's smile was a bit awkward. Bai Lian hadn't formally studied calligraphy at all. No, it's just the style of the Jianghu. Bai Lian herself had never seen the imperial script. Jianghu style? Old Madame Su didn't know much about it, but she knew it wasn't mainstream. She lost interest and turned to Su Jiu, who was sitting beside her. You, eat more. The high school exams are coming. Don't be too stressed. Do your best for our Su family, and it would be even better if the main family sees it. Old Madam, Miss Jiu came second in this month's exam, the butler boasted from the side. Bai Lian also looked warmly and somewhat proudly at Jiu. Yu has always had good grades. Second in the country, that is, the second top scholar. Bai Lian couldn't help but think, if Su Jiu were her daughter, would Bai Kaiming still treat them the same way? Naturally, old Madame Su was very satisfied with Su Jiu. I remember Alien is also a senior. How is she doing? Bai Lian. Bai Lian paused momentarily. She hadn't been in contact with Bai Lian since she left Jiangjing. It was Su Weniao who spoke up. Alien studies are steady now. He had just asked about Bai Lian the night before. High school seniors are under a lot of stress. Su Weniao had a classmate who couldn't cope and fell into depression, so he always cared about how Bai Lian and Su Jiu were doing academically. Both of them were doing fine. That's good to hear. Old Madame Su nodded and did not ask further. She was merely making a polite inquiry and was not curious about Bai Lian's grades. They were surely not better than Su Jiu's anyway. After the meal, old Madame Su took her Buddha beads to the temple to pray for Su Jiu's smooth success in the high school exams. Since Su Jiu entered her senior year, she had done this every day. Su Jiu was also the hope of the new generation of the Su family. Beside her, the butler handed her an incense stick. Don't worry, Miss Jiu has been second in the recent joint examinations. This year's runner-up will definitely be Miss Jiu. Maybe the old master over there will meet Miss Jiu. May the ancestors bless her. Old Madame Su quickly bowed 3 times. May Jiu do well in her exams. Outside, Bai Lian and Su En left for home. Though they had reconciled with the old lady, they did not live in the old residence. Su En hadn't drunk today, and he settled into the driver's seat. Alien is also sitting her exams soon, right? I plan to visit her in a couple of months. It may not be feasible to take her to the exams. Do you want to go back with me? In June. Bai Lian subconsciously covered her stomach, buckled her seat belt, and looked up. My father is there. The doctor said my pregnancy is unstable. The baby was still in the early months, and she was an older mother. Xian Qing was too far. After the flight, it would be several hours car ride, and the roads in Xian Qing were rough. If Bai Lian had been as close and excellent as Su Jiu, she might have gone back, but Jai Mulan didn't want to take the risk of returning to Xian Qing. She wanted to avoid the topic. You just mentioned main family, and that is. You know about the circles in Jiangjing. Su En drove out of the gate. Old Master Chen is from the Chen family. You've studied history, you should know the Chen family. Descendants of General Chen Yi, Jai Mulan gasped. Yep, Su En nodded, his gaze deep, and our main Su family is on par with the Chen family. Our clan is too large to imagine. We were once a collateral branch of theirs, but have since separated. It's quite difficult to rejoin the main family. Su En sighed. Jai Mulan stared at the road ahead, as Su En's sparse words painted a world she had never encountered. The Su family, the Chen family. The next day, when Bai Lian arrived at Xingyi Martial Arts School in the evening, a group of young men and women were queuing outside. They were students planning to apply to arts colleges next year and were registering this year. She carried her book bag across the corridor to the back. In the backyard, a large wooden tub was placed, and Jin Kai was throwing herbs into it. Suhi stood beside him, not as cold and proud as yesterday, but with a hint of unease. Seeing Bai Lian, both looked over to her. Miss Bai. Bai Lian put down her book bag and played with a white handkerchief in her hand. Standing in front of the tub, she asked casually, "Why would you be willing to come to Xian Qing?" Logically speaking, Xian Qing is so remote that even people from Baikeng aren't willing to come here. Suhi never lied. I've been seriously injured before and it left complications. My father sent me here, and I don't want to stay with the Su family anymore. Miss Bai, rest assured, I won't have any second thoughts. Second update, 2. His voice was bitter. He used to be full of vigor at the Su family's home, and all the relatives believed he could stand out and reach the old Master Su, becoming the right-hand man of the next family head. But after his injury remained untreated, his father no longer valued him. To them, he was nothing more than a dispensable cast-off. Bai Lian laid out a handkerchief in her hand. She turned her head to Suhi. Want to be treated? Want to be treated? Suhi was stunned. Years ago, he had thought about seeking treatment, but he had been to various hospitals in Jiangjing, underwent numerous tests, and had many blood samples taken. The doctors only prescribed him medicine to replenish blood and boost his energy for recuperation. At first, his father also sought out various famous doctors for him, who all said that was all they could do, and the illness that had settled in only allowed for slow recovery. Suhi looked at Bai Lian, feeling a tightness in his throat. Miss Bai, can it be cured? It can be, but it will take time. Bai Lian had already noticed the night before that he had a floating gait and weak lung and heart energies. This was the kind of chronic illness common among old soldiers, which she was quite familiar with. She had studied it with an army doctor back in the day. The girl before him was overly young, clad in a plain school uniform. She held a silver needle in her hand, and when she looked over, those serene eyes inexplicably inspired confidence. Suhi clenched his fists. Miss Bai, I'm not afraid to wait. I can wait even 10 years. Bai Lian fell silent. It won't take that long. She pointed to a stone bench next to them, motioning him to sit. Let me examine you first. Suhi placed his hands flat on the stone table. Bai Lian reached out to take his pulse, her eyes lowered in contemplation. Suhi watched her face anxiously. After 5 minutes, Bai Lian withdrew her hand. It's about what I expected. It would improve faster with the help of medicinal baths and acupuncture. Let me give you an acupuncture treatment now. She rolled up the sleeve of her school uniform carelessly. A few strands of fringe fell over her forehead, casting a trace of indolence. Her slender fingers held the needle and located the Zhongxian point on his body. She inserted the needles one by one, the last one at the Zhuoseni point, to supplement earth to produce metal. A principle in traditional Chinese medicine that treatment must target the root cause. How does it feel? Bai Lian stepped back and observed him. Suhi opened his eyes. It doesn't feel like much. Bai Lian slowly redirected her gaze, noting that being able to speak was a good sign. No paralysis. Outside, Pu Ziohen was shooting the local customs and flavors outside. When Bai Lian came over, Pu Ziohen was just packing up her camera. "Are you done?" She walked towards Bai Lian with the camera in hand. "Not yet." Bai Lian remembered there was a cluster of courier stations at the street corner, convenient for travelers wanting to send local products home. "I'm looking for a courier station." "You're sending a courier." Pu Ziohen greeted old Mr. Tao at the street corner before taking Bai Lian's sleeve and leading her towards the front. "It's this way. Which company do you want to use?" All kinds of courier stations were available here. Bai Lian followed Pu Ziohen, looking to the side. "Which courier is the cheapest?" "The post office." Pu Ziohen led her to the far end. They passed by stations for SF Express, Zhangtang, and others before stopping in front of the Green Postal Express. "It's the cheapest." The post office had the fewest people, with several couriers inside. Seeing someone approaching, the woman inside put down the package and took a couple of steps forward. Her eyes landed on Bai Lian. "Are you sending a courier?" "Yes." Bai Lian took out her backpack and pulled out a golden red invitation. "Just this." The woman took a look, saw it was an invitation, and without much notice, bent down to rummage on the floor, finding a not-too-battered box. "Can I use this to mail it for you, beauty?" Bai Lian was not picky. "That's fine." The woman handed her the form to fill out. Bai Lian, not wanting the writing to be unclear to others, filled out the courier form in very neat handwriting, and once finished, handed it over. The woman took it, and upon seeing Bai Lian's calligraphy, stared in surprise, then took an extra look at her. Then her eyes fell on the address. "Is this going to Jiangjing?" "Yes." Bai Lian nodded, remembering Nanjing had said he wouldn't be returning this time. The woman, not further inquiring into private matters, packed it skillfully. Out of concern for the invitation, she even carefully wrapped it in a layer of plastic film. 9 yuan. Bai Lian scanned the QR code with efficiency. Pu Ziohen watched the woman pack the item, and after Bai Lian paid and walked out, she hesitantly asked, "The one you just sent, why does it look so much like the invitation used by good people playing ping-pong?" When Zhang Shai's showed Pu Ziohen Bai Lian's invitation, she remembered it clearly. The wind blew, carrying a hint of chill. Bai Lian played with her phone, her voice casual. "Pretty much." 500,000. Pu Ziohen's voice shifted, and she was a bit flustered. "You just mailed it out like that." "No insurance." Bai Lian. There was also a possibility it could be 2 million. Pu Ziohen immediately turned around and went back to the courier store. Bai Lian's phone rang. She looked down and saw it was Wang Xin calling. Wang Xin called to express her gratitude. "Miss Bai, I am deeply thankful for your help this time. I am preparing to bring Yan Lu into the group, and we need to sign a confidentiality agreement, so we won't be able to contact you often." Yan Lu's popularity had remained high these past few days, and without waiting for Dayang to air, Wang Xin had already selected several high-quality scripts for her. While listening, Bai Lian watched Pu Ziohen, thinking she would cancel the courier. "We were classmates in primary school. Why don't you let her help you find a job?" asked Wang Tong, puzzled. With such an influential classmate, a single word from her could land him an easy job, far better than construction work. "I really like this job. Just think, watching skyscrapers rise from your own hands, how fulfilling." Yixing looked up at the sky, his expression proud. "Crazy." The two of them walked in just as the elevator doors were about to close. A pleasant female voice called out, "Hold on." A woman wearing high-heeled shoes, with curly, wavy hair, a red-framed pair of glasses, walked in. The beauty, in her mid-20s and around 1.7 meters tall, wore a black evening dress. Her eyes were deep like autumn waters, her eyebrows delicate like willow leaves, her nose was slender, and her lips were thinly smeared with light lipstick. Both her poise and appearance were top grade. "Beautiful lady, which floor?" greeted Wang Tong. Wang Tong was skinny and short, appearing malnourished next to the heels-wearing beauty, and even had to look down a bit. But he had a baby face that looked particularly innocent. Who would have thought this guy was actually a creepy man? "The 8th floor, thank you," the beauty replied, her voice devoid of arrogance. "Are you here for the wedding too?" "Yang Zinni is my classmate," she responded. "You're also a friend of Yang Zinni." What a coincidence, my friend is her classmate too. Xiao Fangfeng only then noticed Yixing standing beside her and couldn't help but be secretly amazed. The man beside her had an amazing presence. At about 1.8 meters tall, with well-defined features and an aura of spiritual energy, he had an elegance and kingly air about him. Wang Tong glanced at Yixing, then at the woman beside him, and suddenly felt the two seemed quite a match. Of course, that's under the assumption we ignore Yixing's occupation. Good on you, Yang Zini, for not introducing me to such a handsome classmate earlier. Just wait until I get back at you later, Xiao Fangfeng thought to herself. Xiao Fangfeng, nice to meet you. Xiao Fangfeng introduced herself proactively. Yixing, Yi as in leaf, and Xing symbolizing greatness. Xiao Fangfeng flashed a row of pearly white teeth and asked, Mr. Yi, when were you classmates with Zini? Wang Xin recalled the No 14 hot search item, where netizens had deified Ning Xiao, the 14th ranker in the national exam. But she remembered it clearly, that No 14 was Ning Xiao's account, and Ning Xiao, at that time, was asking Bai Lian for answers. Bai Lian's demeanor almost made Sister Xin think they were peers. It was only when she heard Bai Lian talk about the Gaokao that she vaguely realized Bai Lian was just a senior in high school, still needing to take the college entrance exams. After listening, Sister Xin seriously said just one sentence, "You will surely ride the wind and waves, soaring straight into the clouds." She hung up the phone and stood there, dazed. Next to her, Yan Lu, who was flipping through a script, looked up. "What's wrong?" Yan Lu was going to a new drama crew for a period drama, and after a makeup trial, she dyed her smog blue hair back to black for convenience of wearing a wig. Miss Bai said she sent the new song to President Jian. Wang Xin snapped back to reality, put down her phone, and looked at Yan Lu. Also, she's going to seclude herself to prepare for the Gaokao. It said online that Ning Xiao has a very good chance of ranking in the national top 10. Yan Lu, do you remember? Ning Xiao often asks Miss Bai questions. Yan Lu pressed her hand on the script. Right. So that means Miss Bai might even have better grades than him. Wang Xin's gaze shifted to the window. Having spent so much time together, Sister Xin knew the attitude of Ning Xiao and his peers towards Bai Lian. Like her, it was a respect that came from the heart. Just Ning Xiao alone had sparked many online posts discussing hot topics. If Bai Lian was added to the mix, Xian Cheng might see 2 students ranking in the top 10 of the national exam. In Jiangjing, having 10 such students wouldn't be surprising, but this was Xian Cheng. The rarity was like finding 2 gold nuggets in the desert. Wang Xin felt that this year's Gaokao would definitely be much more lively than in previous years. Your Xian Cheng is really going to liven up, churning out prodigies. Wang Xin exclaimed sincerely and then remembered something. Do you know about strawberry ice cream? Yan Lu frowned. She knew this was the person who initially set the rhythm. She's been quite popular these days, turned into a big fan of Miss Bai after unfollowing. Wang Xin was also surprised. She established a fan club for Miss Bai, but she's still your hater. Yan Lu. This was normal. Yan Lu didn't have any representative works, and compared to professional-level singers, her singing was mediocre. The song became popular entirely because of Bai Lian and President Jian. The next day, after school in the afternoon, Bai Lian and Wang Qi's group had just arrived at the Zhang family's place when they saw Zhang Dad, whom they hadn't seen for a long time, moving pots of flowers. Seeing the group of students, Zhang Dad put down the flower pot. I have had nothing to do these 2 months, resting time. You all should focus on preparing for the Gaokao. After the exams are over, I'll treat you to a big meal. Then, he took out a bunch of fruits for the students to eat. During his absence, he was thankful for these students. Otherwise, he really wouldn't have been at ease leaving Miss Zhang alone at home. Sure, uncle. Wang Qi took the watermelon and gathered beside Bai Lian, curiously watching Zhang Dad, who was carrying a potted plant as tall as a person. A good person's father is really amazing, lifting such a heavy pot with one hand. He was very impressed. The others nodded in agreement, and without speaking, Bai Lian bit into a piece of watermelon as she observed the calluses on Zhang Dad's hands. With Zhang Dad's return, the students from class 15 no longer had to check in at the Zhangs every day. Bai Lian and Pu Ziohen went back to the milk tea shop to do their homework. Someone with money had expanded the milk tea shop, and at this hour, many students were there brushing up on questions. Jianji was seated next to Bai Lian, listening as she corrected his essay. It's known by its name and emulated by others. This narrative here is too shallow and empty. She outlined Jianji's essay with her pen, tapping the line he wrote. Externally Confucian, internally legalistic. The Taoists aren't hollow, they maintain balance, with Confucianism in the open and Taoism in secret. In just a few months, the restlessness in Jianji had faded, and he could now not only spend all night reading a dry biography but also discuss it with Bai Lian. The two talked. At the neighboring table, Tang Ming, who studied science, finally couldn't help but whisper to Pu Ziohen, "Isn't Jian brother planning to go into civil service in the future?" It wasn't uncommon for people from the Calligraphy Association to go into politics. Although Tang Ming studied science, his humanities were not bad either. He understood a thing or two about what the two discussed daily. "Don't you think Sister Lion is even more impressive?" Pu Ziohen replied sharply. "That's true." Tang Ming recalled how the literature teachers would loiter in front of class 15 for no reason, getting caught by the dean several times. After Bai Lian finished discussing with Jianji remembered something and reported to her. In June, the Calligraphy Association assessment is in Baikeng, around the 10th. Qu Zuzheng was already preparing the materials, but with Bai Lian's gaokao approaching, he didn't want to disturb her. Bai Lian estimated the timing. It would be right after the gaokao, so she would have time. A message from President Jian had just come through, recording MP3. In seclusion. He spoke simply and to the point, probably having heard from Sister Xin about her decision not to consider new songs before her college entrance exams. Bai Lian wrote down a line, then took out her earphones, connected them to Bluetooth, and listened to President Jian's composition. Her new song was different from her previous style, leaning towards a traditional Chinese aesthetic, cold season tassels. President Jian started with a solo pipa performance, elegant and ethereal, imbued with an ancient and stable charm, yet filled with exotic sentiments. In the first second, Bai Lian envisioned a scene of yellow sand and withered bones. After listening for a while, she remembered to reply to President Jian. Bai Jian, one on the other end of the phone. Looking at this one, for the first time, President Jian felt a helplessness identical to that of Jiang Fulai. President Jian directly messaged Jianji to inquire about Bai Lian. Jianji candidly told him about Bai Lian's activities. Study, and then more study, and everything else would have to wait until after the college entrance exams. As for after the exams, Bai Lian would first go to Baikeng. President Jian, when are you going to Baikeng? Jianji, the Calligraphy Association's assessment, we should set off on the 9th. President Jian. Got it. Jianji looked at President Jian's reply, scratching his head. What did he mean? Was he also planning to go to Baikeng? 3 days later. Afternoon, Jiangjing. The postal worker rode his bike to a stop at the entrance to Tall Street. With one foot on the ground, he looked up at the ancient and dignified buildings on both sides, then looked down to confirm the address on the ragged box in his hands. Tall Street, number 29. Hesitating, he rode the bike onto the main road and finally stopped in front of the grand entrance of Guangliang, where a pair of 2-meter-tall stone lions stood guard, exuding an air of deterrence. 2 security guards stood at the door. Barely stepping off his bike, the trembling postal worker was approached from a distance by one of the guards. "Hello, do you have a parcel for our 3rd young master?" The young man handed over the tattered box from the back of his bike. The guard hesitantly took it, looking down at the address label. The sender's handwriting was neat and tidy, and his eyes settled on the recipient's name, Su Nanjing. Indeed, it was for the 3rd young master. Looking up, the name of the sender was 2 characters, Bai Lian. Bai. The security guard couldn't bring to mind any family surnamed Bai that was on good terms with the Su family. He took the battered box and went back, running into Su Juming coming out of the house. He promptly removed his cap. "Second master." Dressed in a long gown, Su Juming nodded slightly, his gaze falling onto the box in the guard's hand. The guard hurriedly explained, "This is a parcel for the third young master. I was just about to take it to him." For Su Nanjing, Su Juming reached out and the guard handed over the parcel to him. Looking down at the sender, Su Juming's eyes landed on the place of dispatch. Seeing that it was sent from Xiancheng, Su Juming casually threw the box back, not sparing it another glance. The guard let out a breath of relief, aware of the covert struggles within the Su family. Offending any of them was not an option, and if Su Juming insisted on inspecting Su Nanjing's parcel, there would have been nothing he could do. Ahead, Su Juming walked up the steps, speaking with someone beside him. Nothing in the black market either. CIA has already investigated. Before the invitation was sent out, it was divvied up by those people in the international circles, the man explained in a low voice. The invitations that leaked to the black market were bought up as soon as they appeared. However, you don't have to worry. I've heard that the third young master hasn't received any news either. Jiangjing Saijing Club. The club was exclusive. Qi Xian was visiting such a place for the first time. Following Leng Xiu into a private room, she found it spacious inside, with groups of men and women sitting together. Some were playing cards, others were discussing matters. But most heads were turned, attention drifting towards someone on a sofa in the corner. There, a young man sat, his coat removed, wearing only a light blue hoodie, leaning on the sofa, casually holding a rather tattered paper box. "Mr. Zhao." At the front, Leng Xiu greeted Zhao Bingwen and then introduced Qi Xian beside him. "This is the daughter of a teacher I knew long ago." Zhao Bingwen, who had gathered everyone, was still holding a pair of small scissors, moving briskly. Leng Xiu spoke and Zhao Bingwen paused for a moment to nod at him. "Zun Feng, make sure Leng Miss and her company enjoy themselves." Then, he immediately made his way to Su Nanjing. Zun Feng stood up from the card game, a cigarette dangling from his lips, to welcome Leng Xiu and her companion. Seeing Qi Xian glance towards the corner, Zun Feng joked, "Ladies, the ancestor there has been in a foul mood recently. Don't provoke him." His words made Qi Xian wrap her coat tighter around herself and revert her gaze. She wondered inwardly who exactly this person was. In the corner, Su Nanjing carefully examined the paper box just delivered from the Su residence, silent and deliberate. "She hasn't seen her teacher for several days," Zhao Bingwen remarked, eyeing the box in Su Nanjing's hands. "Forget it, I'll find a different birthday gift for the old man." Su Nanjing clicked his tongue. The auction was in 2 days, and there was not enough time now. Zhao Bingwen casually passed the scissors to Su Nanjing. "What's this?" He stared at the tattered parcel in Su Nanjing's hands, feeling quite out of place that such a wrapped paper box had appeared in his possession. "Alien sent me a specialty. It's so light, is there actually something inside?" Su Nanjing looked at the double-wrapped paper box and took the scissors passed to him. Su Nanjing was not like Jiang Fulai. He was not one to change course easily, hence he was the one who flew away from Baikeng. Su Lao Yi was in a hurry, and in his rush to catch the flight, he didn't have time to say goodbye to Bai Lian or Jiang Fulai, only leaving a message for both of them on WeChat. "Is this her handwriting?" Zhao Bingwen leaned in to look at the neatly written address and laughed. "I never thought your name looked so tidy." He had thought it was something important, but it turned out to be a parcel sent by Bai Lian. Zhao Bingwen withdrew his attention and poured himself a drink leisurely. Not so curious anymore. Su Nanjing cut along the edge unhurriedly, creating a slit. Second update, Wen Zhao had tightly wrapped the outside of the box, and Su Nanjing had to exert some effort to cut it open. Inside, there was something that resembled a book, which was also wrapped in a protective film. One could not see clearly through the protective film. Zhao Bingwen greeted Zun Feng on the other side. "Did she send you a book?" This seemed like something Bai Lian could do. Su Nanjing exerted some more effort to cut open the protective film, finally revealing a red background with golden letters that read "Invitation." And below it, there was an imposing white tiger. An invitation. Zhao Bingwen picked up the red wine that was put aside, stood up to prepare to attend to the group that had come today, and glanced at it casually. What kind of invitation is this? A white tiger from the White Tiger auction house, huh? He said it offhandedly. In mid-sentence, his steps abruptly came to a halt. Then, with a snap, he set down the wine glass, his gaze fixed unblinkingly on the invitation. There had never been a moment where he felt the sound of his heartbeat so clearly. His throat tightened and his voice trembled. This is... They didn't have invitations, but they had seen them before. The White Tiger auction house was a place where they could buy almost everything they wanted. Occasionally, certain items were too precious, making the invitations hard to get. But in most cases, the Su and Zio families were still able to get one through official channels. So at just one glance, they recognized that this was the invitation they had been seeking this time. "Did Miss Bai send this to you?" Zio Bingwen looked at the tattered box beside him, and then at the understated and mysterious invitation in Su Nanjing's hands, finding it absurdly comical. Su Nanjing immediately took out his phone to call Bai Lian. She picked up after one ring. "Little sister Bai Lian, what did you send over?" Bai Lian had just finished school, and she was at a milk tea shop ordering a milk tea, while Kai Yundai was passing a plate of cake to her. "An invitation." She took the cake that Kai Yundai offered and turned to walk inside, her voice calm and unhurried. "Haven't you been looking for it? What's the matter?" Su Nanjing. No. "Oh," Bai Lian's tone was casual. "Is there anything else?" Her tone suggested, "Don't disturb my studies." The two hung up the phone. Zio Bingwen had listened to the entire conversation, finally came back to his senses and murmured, "Where did she get that invitation from?" He and Su Nanjing had been busy for half a month, and these last few days they were really about to give up. Then this invitation had fallen from the sky. Was it from Jiang Fulai? Bai Lian was but a high school student at Xiangcheng First High School. Other than Jiang Fulai, Zio Bingwen really couldn't think of any other explanation. Bai Lian had been in seclusion and did not attend the auction. Saturday. It was rare for Jiang Fulai to have a day off, and these people were already regulars at the library. The light streamed through the library windows and fell on the table by the window. Today, the library was quite busy, and the table on the right was completely occupied by Bai Lian and her group. Jiang Fulai sat on the very right, with black headphones on his ears. In front of him was a very thin laptop. His slender fingers tapped on the keyboard, and occasionally he turned his head to speak with Bai Lian. The sunlight fell on his face, his eyelashes cast down, giving his usually cold features a touch of entanglement. Tang Ming across him raised his hand, looking cautiously towards Jiang Fulai. "Teacher Jiang, we're having hot pot for lunch." Jiang Fulai was used to being cold, and his demeanor didn't seem to fit someone who would join them in bustling eateries. Although they had had hot pot together many times, inviting Jiang Fulai still took a lot of courage from Tang Ming. "Sure." Jiang Fulai nodded indifferently. Tang Ming finally sighed with relief and quickly sat down. At noon, the hot pot restaurant in the next mall. To ensure everyone could eat properly, Tang Ming and the others booked a private room. The group wasn't large. Bai Lian, Jiang Fulai, Pu Ziohen, Ning Zio, Tang Ming, and Jiang He. They had ordered a dual-flavored hot pot, to which Jiang Fulai was indifferent. As he continued scrolling, Bai Lian reached out to press down on his fingers. Jiang Fulai's fingers were always cool, due to spending too much time in the underground laboratory. Even in Xiangcheng, it didn't change his constitution. His naturally pale and cold fingers seemed even more like white jade. Feeling a warmth, he looked at Bai Lian's finger pressing on his hand, then watched her leisurely pull the pencil from his grip. Bai Lian rested her chin on her other hand, tilting her head slightly. "Teacher Jiang, no need to order more. They've ordered more than we can finish." She spoke from experience. Jiang Fulai let go of the menu. "All right then." He didn't continue ordering. Having known each other for so long, aside from when Jiang Fulai was teaching them and prone to teasing during meals, he generally did not disrupt everyone's good time and was trying to contain the coldness he emanated. Second update, 2 at the dining table, Pu Ziohen was posting pictures in the group chat. Pu Ziohen, "Grandpa's clothes are almost done." After sending the message, she looked up at the people around the dining table. "Grandpa's class uniform is ready. I've reserved a set for the good guy, but he won't be able to take the graduation photo with us next month. Especially Zhang Shai's. Given the current atmosphere in Class 15, the merit of Zhang Shai's and Wang Qi cannot be overstated. To take a graduation photo without Zhang Shai's would make Class 15 seem somewhat imperfect, Pu Ziohan felt. Although they joked and laughed when mentioning Zhang Shai's, Pu Ziohan and the others knew they could only adopt such an attitude. A year in jail would have too large a psychological impact on a high school student. "Don't worry," Bai Lian said as she picked up public chopsticks to serve food. Bai mentioned that they've prepared a banner for the good guy. "Banner?" The mood livened up at the mention of Wang Qi. Tang Ming, curious, asked, "What kind of banner? What good deed could Bebe have done?" "Hey, I was even thinking that at the time, I could wear his clothes and take a photo with you all in his stead." Pu Ziohan clapped the table. "Right, you could print out a large picture of the good guy and paste it over your face." A group of teenagers were eating hot pot. Worries came suddenly and left just as quickly. Jiang Fulai quietly listened to their conversation, occasionally helping Jiang He reach for dishes he couldn't without interrupting their chat. Bai Lian also listened in, lazily. After finishing the meal, Pu Ziohan called the waiter over to clean up the table. Jiang Fulai was sitting on the same side as Bai Lian. To his left was Bai Lian, to his right was Jiang He. After the meal, the waiter had also cleared away the excess bowls and chopsticks from the table. He thought Bai Lian would be in a hurry to return to the library to do homework. But Bai Lian didn't leave. The others at the table were still discussing post-graduation matters, with Tang Ming expressing a desire to take a photo with Class 15. Since Bai Lian was there, Jiang Fulai wasn't in a rush either. He leaned back slightly and spoke to Bai Lian. "They're talking about a graduation trip. Have you thought about it?" "A graduation trip? Have you ever traveled?" Bai Lian asked as she heard the term for the first time. She opened a can of cola with one hand for Jiang He and turned to look at Jiang Fulai. "No," Jiang Fulai hadn't gone traveling either. His life consisted of nothing but research. "Then you still talk about taking me to the snow mountains." Bai Lian remembered this. The private room was warm. Jiang Fulai had already taken off his coat. He was wearing a white shirt with the collar slightly open. He hadn't expected Bai Lian to remember that, and he softly replied, "You could go during the summer break as well, but the snow won't be as thick then." "No rush," Bai Lian suddenly said, recalling something. "But I kind of want to go to the grasslands." She flipped through history. There lay the tomb of the third princess. "The grasslands!" Jiang Fulai tapped his fingertips on the table, picturing the map in his mind, planning the route. "That works too." As he was speaking, the private room's door was pushed open, and the waiter brought in the disassembled cake. Creamy white frosting, red roses spreading along the center all the way to the base of the cake. Clusters of roses, nestled against the green vines, were blooming together. It was like a passionate oil painting, irresistible to the eyes. Ning Zio stood up to receive the cake, and after thanking the waiter, he placed it on the table. But the waiter didn't leave, instead looking longingly at the cake that resembled a handicraft. "Handsome, where did you buy your cake from?" "This wasn't bought." Pu Ziohan smiled at her. "It was made by our friend." The cake maker, of course, was Kai Lu. Tang Ming motioned to Jiang Fulai to blow out the candles. "Happy birthday, brother Jiang. Blow out the candles and make a wish." Jiang Fulai looked at the slowly burning candles. For the first time, the usually calm and composed him didn't know how to react. Perhaps because his family was no longer around, he didn't celebrate his birthday. He usually spent his birthdays in the lab to avoid trouble. If others couldn't find him, it would just be dropped. Even Su Nanjing and Jiang Ziju would only send a gift when the time came. Blowing out candles and making a wish, this was his first experience. The windows in the private room were closed. The candlelight reflected on his cold face. Under the urging of Tang Ming and the others, Jiang Fulai slowly closed his eyes and made a wish. He didn't have any particular wishes. If it were before, he might have wished to find dark matter. But now, he quietly thought, may Miss Bai be safe and sound year after year. Jiang He stood by his side and helped him blow out the candles. In the evening, Jiang Fulai leisurely strolled in the setting sun. He escorted Bai Lian back to the Jai family. Jai Heng invited them to have dinner. He had specially gone fishing with Chief Chen that day, and the neighbor auntie helped with cooking. By the time the two returned, the meal was ready. Second update, 3. The dishes were very rich. At the dining table, Jai Heng gave Jiang Fulai the set of clothes meant for him, a silver-gray overcoat made of silk-like material that looked very high-end, fastened with Chinese frog buttons. Patterns were embroidered across the middle of the sleeves and the front. Jiang Fulai carefully accepted the set of clothes, his fingertips grazing the cool fabric. One glance was enough to see the dent stitches. Jai Heng had put a lot of thought into it. Chief Chen and Jai Heng both enjoyed drinking. The two chatted as they sipped their liquor, and an hour passed by without finishing their meal. That's when Jiang He found time to go to his room and bring out his Lego for him. The Lego was a custom-designed castle tower. The blueprint was drawn by Jiang He, and his teacher helped him make numerous revisions. It was 30 centimeters wide and about 40 centimeters tall. The intricate bricks and the connecting beams could be seen. Jiang Fulai said thank you twice today. After giving the gift, Jiang He couldn't take his eyes off him. Jiang Fulai took it and pointed at a spot, looking at Jiang He and casually remarked, "This part isn't drawn well." Jiang He decided to sleep with Jai Heng tonight. Jai Heng had drunk too much today. Bai Lian made an exception and walked Jiang Fulai to the door. At 9 o'clock, Jiang Fulai looked down the long, dark alley. Just as he reached the bend at the entrance, he stopped and told Bai Lian to go back first. Bai Lian was dressed in a pale green outfit today, her jet-black hair half up. She stopped, stretched out her left hand, and opened it. A piece of Kylin jade almost melting under the lamplight appeared before Jiang Fulai. "Happy birthday, Teacher Jiang." Jiang Fulai was taken aback, presumably not expecting her to have prepared a gift for him. He reached out to take it, still able to feel the warmth of the jade in his palm. End of May. With the college entrance examination approaching, the school arranged for a graduation photo to be taken. The location was the central stone of the school, with 5 steps beneath it, perfectly accommodating the students to line up. Class 15 prepared uniform attire. The girls' dresses featured a mandarin collar, with a white undergarment, embroidered with ivy at the edges, covered by a red, sleeveless waistcoat adorned with delicate vine patterns. The buttons were matching Chinese frog buttons. Below was a white skirt, the hem embroidered with vivid clusters of roses, red and pink rosebuds in full bloom nestled among green leaves. As the girls stepped forward, the rose bushes hidden in the folds of their skirts burst into full bloom. The boys' clothes. Skip. The students of Class 14 were currently taking their graduation photos below, while the photographer snapped pictures and they stood on the steps, involuntarily gazing at the students of Class 15, their eyes resting on the last tall girl. Bai Lian, with her phone in hand, nonchalantly followed Lu Lingxi at the end of the line. Her hair, still half up as usual, her almond-shaped eyes half closed, her hair was too long, loosely curling over her shoulders beneath the wooden hairpin. Bai Lian, who was used to wearing plain clothes, wore such a brightly colored outfit for the first time today. The traditional Chinese-style clothes seemed to have been tailored specifically for her, set against a backdrop of blue sky and white clouds. The wind scattered her skirt's hem, a girl of roses blossoming in the wind. More than half the students from Class 14 were stunned, and the photographer had to remind them to come back to their senses. "They all say I look stupid like this. Lion Jai Ziohen, take a look, do I look dumb?" Wang Qi unfurled his custom-made banner, about 70 centimeters long, with the words written on it. "Posing with Zhang Shi's, a Mr. Nice Guy." Red background with white characters. Pu Ziohen looked up, imagining her gorgeous graduation photo marred by this thing. No wonder the cultural committee member had been complaining nonstop. She refused. Bai Lian looked at the line of text and nodded. "I think it's fine, the color matches our clothes well." Wang Qi's eyes lit up. "Right, I knew you'd get it, Sister Lion." "You really think so?" Pu Ziohen asked incredulously, clutching at Bai Lian's arm. Bai Lian was puzzled. "Yeah." Pu Ziohen? It was the first time Pu Ziohen realized that Bai Lian was actually quite straightforward. The graduation photo for Class 14 was taken, and the principal, vice principals, and teachers from various subjects stood up from the front row. The principal couldn't leave since he had to take photos all day. "Wang Qi," Lu Lingxi called for Wang Qi, her gaze briefly pausing on Wang Qi's banner before she said, "The chemistry teacher hasn't arrived yet. He's teaching in class 9. Go call him, will you?" Wang Qi put away the banner and went to summon the chemistry teacher. The principal and vice principals came over looking for Lu Lingxi and Bai Lian. The end of the college entrance exams was finally approaching, and the principal looked at Bai Lian with mixed emotions. "Bai, student, relax. No matter how the tests go, just do your best." "Okay," consented Bai Lian with a nod. "Time flies." Lu Lingxi adjusted Bai Lian's clothes, looking at the girl in front of her. "I remember the first time you came to take the test, you scored 50 points in comprehensive science. Back then, I thought you would need to repeat a year." From the nearby steps, Pu Ziohen called Bai Lian over to line up. Bai Lian walked over. The principal watched her walk away, musing, "From 50 points to now, I wonder how she will fare in the college entrance exams. She hasn't been in the joint exams, so I have no idea how much Song Min has improved. I have a feeling this year's exams won't be easy." The vice principal had now become a diehard supporter of Lian. "There's no need for won't be easy. The valedictorian will definitely be our Bai student." As he spoke, he murmured to himself, "Don't think I don't know you've already prepared the valedictorian banner." The principal, the homeroom teacher of Class 8, stood next to the principal, watching Bai Lian in the crowd without saying anything. Bai Lian stood in the second row, next to Pu Ziohen, the breeze gently lifting the wisps of hair on her forehead, with a stone carved with Bai Xiangjun's words behind her, flaunting the youthful spirit and ambition of their generation. Wang Qi had called the chemistry teacher over. The students of Class 15 had already lined up. He stood behind Bai Lian and Pu Ziohen holding a flag, whispering. They were just discussing how Sister Lian managed to come this far from 50 points in comprehensive science. How did she come this far? Bai Lian slightly tilted her head towards Wang Qi, raising an eyebrow in her usual casual way, yet with a hint of playful arrogance Wang Qi had never seen before. She didn't speak but looked through the gap at the line of poetry on the stone behind. The Bai family's army won many battles by turning defeat into victory. That was what she was best at, playing the game of turning the tides against the wind. Do you understand, young one? Requesting monthly votes, dear readers. At 10 in the morning, the sun was plenty strong. Light passed through the clouds and settled on Xiangcheng No. 1 Middle School, falling upon the boulder that had stood for 1,000 years. Bai Lian reached out her hand to shield her eyes from the glare, her gaze fixed on the powerful and resonant characters inscribed on the stone. In the interplay of light and shadow, it was as if she saw the comrades who had fought the last battle with her 1,000 years ago. The interweaving of light and shadow was blurry. 1,000 years later, Bai Lian stood beneath the line of poetry she had written with her spear raised, about to fight her first battle. The photographer held up the camera, intending to check the framing in the viewfinder, but his attention was captured by the girl inside the lens. She stood amid the crowd, her face slightly turned, with half-tied hair resting on her shoulder. The girl in the lens had eyes that held the fierceness of war horses and iron soldiers, as if she had traversed mountains and rivers, emerging from the battleground to split open hills of corpses and seas of blood on horseback. Despite the crowd of students around her, rowdy and joking, in that instant, they all but became her backdrop. The photographer involuntarily focused the lens and pressed the shutter. After capturing the moment, he reviewed the photo just taken. The composition was beautiful, like a destiny revolving through a millennium, filled with a mysterious sense of story. He admired it for a while, planning to send it to the student later. The students of Class 15 had mostly lined up, and the photographer put down his camera, amplifying his voice. "Students, quickly get into place. The teachers can take their positions now too." The disciplinary teacher, who was negotiating with the principal about exactly how many banners were ordered, stopped upon hearing this. He adjusted his shirt and walked forward solemnly. In the crowd, Pu Ziohen was holding her video camera, filming the making of footage. When everyone was almost ready, she put down her camera and stood up. Seeing Wang Qi actually pulling up the banner, she said, "Wait a moment, let the photographer take a picture of us without the banner first, then we can take one with the banner later." This was the result of Pu Ziohan's discussion with Lu Lingxi. Take one without the banner first? Wang Qi folded the banner, stuffed it into his pocket, and patted it. "Fine, I'll bring it out again later." "Wang Qi, lower your head a bit. Don't squeeze me, Ziohan, I'll stand on your right. Can I stand in front of Sister Lian, please? You go to the front. Even on tiptoes, you aren't taller than me." The students of this class, dressed in uniform traditional clothes, chatted noisily. Beneath the lens, they were green and vivid. The photographer, looking at these bright and youthful students under the sun, unexpectedly recalled his own school days, that bygone youth which would never return, wondering how many of these students would still be in contact with each other in a few years. He sighed, click. The photo was taken at that instant. For the second shot, Wang Qi asked a classmate to move aside, leaving a space. Then he turned to Ning Zio on his left, mustering his courage. "Top student, can you cooperate with me?" Ning Zio looked down, his fringe hiding his dark eyes. He coldly eyed the absurd banner in Wang Qi's hands without saying a word. Having interacted with Jiang Fulai for so long, Wang Qi no longer found Ning Zio as unapproachable as before. "Top student," Wang Qi passed one corner of the banner to him, assessing the distance of roughly one person between him and Ning Zio. He tentatively asked, "Good man is your desk mate, so if you hold it, isn't it like he's here too?" As he spoke, he cautiously lifted the banner in his hand. Ning Zio stared at the red banner and still said nothing. Bai Lian stood in front of the two, with the space Wang Qi and Ning Zio left behind her. She tilted her head back. "Ning Zio, help him hold it." Ning Zio coolly extended a finger and hooked the corner of the banner. His expression was especially somber as he held the banner. Wang Qi gave Bai Lian a hand gesture of thanks before waving at the photographer. "We're ready now. You can take the picture." The photographer lifted the camera and was drawn to the banner. Seeing the symbol that read, "One Good Man" on it, he thought to himself about how serious students' nicknames are nowadays, as in their time they were things like Fart Prince or Crazy Wild Boar. After all the photos were taken, Lu Lingxi sent a student to call down Class 16 for their group photo. Pu Ziohan, meanwhile, took out her camera to film the class's candid shots, and Wang Qi called the boys to stand on the roadside and shouted to Pu Ziohan, "Pu Ziohan, hurry, take a group shot for us guys." Pu Ziohan readied her camera and turned to point it at them. Wang Qi stood in front of everyone, directing them to pose. Before he could speak, a few taller boys hoisted him up as they shouted, "Taro Ziobai." Pu Ziohan captured this scene on video from the side. Class 16's students came down. They were on the 4th floor and hadn't seen Class 15's graduation outfits that morning. Upon coming down now, the girls immediately gasped in astonishment. The photographer taking the graduation photos was discussing the placement positions with Class 16's teacher. Two girls from Class 16 walked over with their smartphones and stopped beside Bai Lian. "Bai Lian, could we take a picture with you?" There were many photos of Bai Lian in the school forum, most of which were of her back. Students from other senior classes would often visit Class 15 to seek blessings from the two exam gods. And as the college entrance exam approached, they were seizing the last chances to take photos together, which might not come again after the exams. How come Tang Ming hasn't come down yet? Wang Qi, who had been ditched for quite a while, finally managed to get close to Bai Lian to seek salvation. Wasn't he supposed to take a photo with us? Just as she was speaking, Tang Ming hurried over, still draped in his school jacket, muttering, "I made it, I made it." Wang Qi, overwhelmed, pointed at Tang Ming and said, "Everybody go swarm him." Tang Ming was an unofficial member of Class 15. He had just come down and was still unclear about what was happening when he was surrounded by a crowd from Class 15. A lot of them had brought smartphones and took many photos to share in the group chat. Bai Lian looked through the group for a few photos and finally found one where she was with Zhang Shai's banner and Pu Ziohan and others, and she sent it to Jiang Fulai. "Print it out and bring it to the good person tomorrow." Jiang Fulai replied quickly, "Graduation photo." 1. While this group was fooling around, Lu Lingxi stood by watching for quite a while without urging them back to class, considering the pressure students of Class 15 had placed on themselves this half-year. It was good for them to relax a bit before the exams. Her gaze landed on Bai Lian, who was standing to the side looking down at her phone, and she walked over to her, pausing. Just perform normally without pressure during the college entrance exam, and try to relax now that it's almost here. She thought Bai Lian was studying. Bai Lian silently put away her phone. Okay. The Research Institute. Jiang Fulai waited for quite a while, but Bai Lian hadn't replied, so he couldn't help but click to open the photo Bai Lian had sent him. The photo was taken with a smartphone, with Wang Qi and Pu Ziohen holding up Zhang Shai's banner, standing to the left of Bai Lian, and another girl standing to her right, while Ning Zio and Tang Ming and others were in the background. The sunlight above was just right, making the group of young boys and girls radiate with youth. He looked at the girl in the center, who stood amidst the crowd, her dark apricot eyes looking at the camera, a smile playing on her lips, her posture slightly lazy and facing the wind, with her half-tied ink-black hair fluttering, blending in with the surrounding youngsters. A group of spirited senior high school students. Jiang Fulai tapped on the photo with his fingertip, then reached out to press save. After exiting, he opened up the Baikeng High School forum. Since Bai Lian arrived at Baikeng High School, she had become a frequenter on the forum, what score she got, what she wore today, encountering her in the cafeteria. At first, Jiang Fulai intended to delete it, but as he scrolled through, the forum seemed like a journal of her growth. From the first mention of Bai the Great to now, the graduation photo, Jiang Fulai lowered his head, thinking about checking for new posts from today. He instantly saw the pinned photo. I took a photo with Senior Bai. She's super beautiful. Scrolling down, there were more photos with her. It was one thing with senior students, but even the first and second-year students went to take photos. Jiang Fulai looked on coldly. After school in the afternoon, Class 15's students had a 100% head-turning rate as they walked on the street. Bai Lian carried her backpack in her hand, walking on the very edge of the group, with Pu Ziohen by her side, while people from Class 15 were urging Pu Ziohen to hurry home and post the video she had taken to the group chat. The milk tea shop was still packed as ever. Jiang Fulai was speaking to Kai Yundai across from the milk tea shop, wearing a garment made for him by Jai Heng today, a silver-gray silk shirt, elegant and cool, subtly shimmering with a cold light in the sunlight. He listened quietly to Kai Yundai, his eyes occasionally sweeping over the school gate in a somewhat absent-minded manner. It was only when he saw Bai Lian and her group, dressed in rose-colored graduation robes, did he pause for a moment. Mr. Su has already spoken to Jiang's butler. Kai Yundai was saying something to Jiang Fulai when he noticed Jiang's gaze shift and belatedly looked behind him. Upon seeing Bai Lian emerging from the school gate, Kai Yundai stopped. They're taking their graduation photos today. As the college entrance examination approached, the school was plastered with banners. When Bai Lian approached, Wang Qi and Tang Ming quieted their roughhousing and respectfully greeted Jiang Fulai before heading off to the milk tea shop together. Jiang Fulai stood still, appearing aloof, his gaze fixed only on Bai Lian. Bai Lian, holding the banner from Zhang Shai's, paused slightly and said, "What's up?" Jiang Fulai leisurely took out his phone, opened the camera app, and casually asked, "Bai Lian, can I take a picture with you?" Bai Lian. Where had he heard that again? Jiang Fulai seldom took photos. He turned on the front camera, which had no beauty filter, but with their superior bone structure, even just showing above the chest. The two were dressed in ancient-styled clothes in the camera. The two looked like they were part of a painting set in ink and wash, with a wisp of sunset in the background, exquisitely beautiful. There were no compositional techniques in use. Their good looks alone carried the photo. After Jiang Fulai finished taking the photo, he checked it, was satisfied with it, and remembering that Bai Lian had once criticized his photography skills, showed it to her. "Bai Lian, what do you think?" Bai Lian looked down at the photo and let out a sigh. Across at the milk tea shop, Pu Ziohen, holding an order, stood by the counter and whispered to Yang Lin, "Teacher Jiang's angle is so fatal. His photography is really not up to par." Yang Lin looked up and glanced across through the glass. Kai Yundai, having donned his chef's hat, felt like giving Pu Ziohan a thumbs up. Meanwhile, in Baikeng, approaching the college entrance exam, Bai Kaiming had specially invited the principal of Baikeng High School and the head teacher of the international class to a meal at a hotel to inquire about Bai Shaoqi's situation for the exam. The principal of Baikeng High School spoke highly of both Bai Shaoqi and Song Min. Both students have made rapid progress this semester, and there's no need for concern, President Bai, President Song. Always serious, Bai Kaiming couldn't help but smile, and he and the Song family had already booked the hotel. Do you think Shaoqi stands a chance of being admitted to Jiangjing University? Of course, the principal nodded, smiling with a sense of admiration. Though she's not as good as her brother academically, she's improved significantly this semester. Without any mistakes, there's a 90% chance she can get into Jiangjing University. Bai Kaiming had no clear concept of their academic achievements, but hearing the principal's affirmation that Bai Shaoqi could indeed gain entry, the surprise on his face was unmistakable. His hand clenched the wine glass tightly to prevent himself from showing too much emotion. Would their Bai family really produce two champions? Two outstanding students at Jiangjing University. Even though the principal mentioned Bai Shaoqi wasn't quite on par with Bai Shaoq, Bai Kaiming was still pleased. Now that Bai Shaoq had begun an internship at the Jiangjing laboratory and had met many professors and doctoral students, with the addition of Bai Shaoqi, they were one step closer to making their mark in Jiangjing. Behind him, the Bai family butler looked on at this scene, feeling happy for the miss. Yet, he couldn't help but remember Bai Lian, whose impression on him when she left the Bai family was unforgettable. Bai Lian was in the same grade as Bai Shaoqi, but since moving to Xiancheng, there had been no word from her. Bai Kaiming was happy for his daughter but couldn't help feeling regretful. It's a shame she ran into Song Min. This year Song Min is probably going to be the Baikeng top scorer. He had already heard from the Song family on several occasions that Song Min had been first in all the recent joint exams, far outstripping the second-place student. Bai Kaiming had thought the principal would agree, but unexpectedly, both the principal and the head teacher remained silent. Bai Kaiming paused, slightly puzzled. Did I say something wrong? Second update, 1. Bai Kaiming knew very well that Song Min was extremely outstanding. Not only was he excellent in his studies, but he was also very sensitive to finance, and with Song Min's grandfather being from Jiangjing, he had access to different resources from an early age compared to those in Baikeng. He had mentioned more than once to Bai Shaoqi that she was unlucky this year to be in the same cohort as Song Min. The headmaster of Baikeng High School naturally thought of Bai Lian. Ever since they discontinued the joint examinations, they had no idea about Bai Lian's exact performance. Song Min had made significant progress, yet they didn't know how Bai Lian had fared. I hope our school can once again win the provincial champion. Bai Kaiming felt there was an undertone in the headmaster and class teacher's words, but he didn't think much about it. As long as Bai Shaoqi could get into Jiangjing University, that was enough. After dinner, he sent the two of them off and returned to the Bai family residence, where he shared the good news with the Bai family clan. I said it, these two siblings have potential, an authoritative uncle from the clan declared. I will notify the people in the village right away, and when the college entrance examination results come out, we will celebrate at the ancestral hall. Aside from the new year, the clan seldom opened the ancestral hall. Last year, they had opened it once for Bai Shaoq when he became the provincial champion, but they only opened the side door. The central door was not to be opened easily unless there was a significant contribution. This was the most exciting time for the Bai family clan in the past few years. Bai Kaiming, speaking with the clan members, could not hide his pride on his usually stern face. Glorifying the ancestors was something no one could refuse. June 1, Saturday. Bai Lian and Ning Xiao were preparing for the college entrance examination, and since Baikeng High School did not close for the holiday, she did not visit Zhang Shai's today. Jiang Fulai went with Kai Yundai instead. Without Bai Lian around, Zhang Shai's became even more unapproachable, and the two prison guards dared not get too close to him. Kai Yundai, upon entering, immediately adopted an expression that could send someone away for 10 years. After escorting the two to the visiting room, the prison guards exchanged glances and breathed a sigh of relief. Inside the room, Zhang Shais had been waiting there. Seeing Jiang Fulai and Kai Yundai, he was startled for a moment before standing up and speaking in a muffled voice. "Brother Jiang, teacher Kai." Kai Yundai tossed the keys to Zhang Shais. Zhang Shais bowed his head and used the keys to unlock the handcuffs. Kai Yundai glanced over and commented, "Quite skilled, aren't you?" Zhang Shais placed the handcuffs down, loosened his wrists, and followed Jiang Fulai's instructions for a while. Without Bai Lian there, Jiang Fulai's patience was limited. Even Wen got scolded for making mistakes in front of Jiang Fulai. Seated across from Zhang Shais, his white shirt sleeves rolled up neatly, his delicate features frosted over, Wen asked, "Are you the one applying for the University of Political Science and Law?" Kai Yundai watched for a while and his brow twitched. "Let me handle this, young Master Jiang." Jiang Fulai coldly stood up, pulling at his collar. An hour later, Kai Yundai calmly asked, "Would you mind spending another 10 years in here?" Zhang Shais. Without Bai Lian present, it would have been good even if Senior Wen was there. Yet why did two King Yamas have to come today? The lengthy prison visit finally ended. Zhang Shais would rather go back and spend another 10 days inside. As he was leaving, Jiang Fulai handed him 2 items. Zhang Shais took them and looked. He opened the red banner first. "What's this?" As he unfolded it, he soon saw the words written on it. "Take a picture with Zhang Shais, a good man. Zhang Shais." At this moment, he turned his attention to the other item, a photograph. It was a picture of Bai Lian and the others with this banner, and as he looked at it, he vaguely remembered. They've all taken their graduation photos already, huh? They're graduating. He treasured the photograph, storing it as if he too had participated in the graduation photo shoot from afar. "Right, Brother Jiang." Zhang Shais took out a letter he was holding and handed it to Jiang Fulai. "Please give this to Sister Lian to pass on to Lu's mom when the time comes." This was Zhang Shai's letter to Lu Lingxi. Evening. The courtyard at Jai Heng's. Since the graduation outfits for Class 15 were completed, he had some free time to work on his own small items. Jiang he had been with Jai Heng during this period. Like Jai Heng, he didn't talk much and was different from other kids his age. He was smart and independent, yet he wasn't a conversationalist and tended to be hard on himself. Strangely enough, he got along very well with Jai Heng. Usually one would be drawing while the other would be embroidering, passing the days quietly. When Su En arrived carrying a bunch of gifts, the courtyard gate was open, and he immediately noticed Jiang He sitting leisurely at the stone table with his paintbrush. Jai Heng looked up, saw Su En, and was somewhat surprised. "Why did you suddenly come back?" He stood up. Su's assistant followed Su En, also carrying a lot of items. "Chairman Su was worried about disturbing Miss Bai's exam preparation and didn't inform you in advance. I don't plan to stay long, just came to see you and Alien. Alien has her exams, so I have to rush back tomorrow." Su En placed the heap of gifts in the living room, pausing when he saw the TV there. "You bought a television." He had thought Jai Heng didn't enjoy watching TV, so he had not considered buying one for them. Su En had brought a bunch of gifts this time, including tobacco as well as clothes and accessories prepared for Bai Lian. Alien bought it. Jai Heng brewed 2 cups of tea and asked them to sit down. After a long wait without anyone else showing up, he pondered for a moment. "Has Mu Lan not come back?" Su En placed the items down and replied, "Zion Cheng is far, and the doctor said her pregnancy is not stable, so I didn't let her come back." Jai Heng glanced at Su En as he lit his tobacco pipe. "You don't need to explain for her." What Jai Mulan was thinking, Jai Heng knew very well. Even if the journey wasn't so long, Jai Mulan hadn't even phoned to ask about Bai Lian's high school exam results. Now, as long as she didn't coerce Bai Lian, Jai Heng preferred not to get overly involved in Jai Mulan's affairs. He was aware that Jai Mulan's attention was solely on the unborn child within her. Jai Heng lowered his head and took a puff of smoke. His gaze was heavy. Bai Lian had returned with Jiang Fulai. When the two arrived, Su En was in the hall talking to Jai Heng. Seeing Bai Lian and her companion return, Su En couldn't help but stand up. He went outside to greet Bai Lian, his eyes pausing briefly on Jiang Fulai. Jiang Fulai wore a white shirt today, and under the lights, all of his usual sharpness seemed to be hidden away. Yet, those light-colored eyes that glanced over still felt very oppressive. Su-en pondered deep down, wondering exactly who Mr. Jiang was. Jiang, surname Jiang. Su-en pondered for only a moment before shifting his thoughts. He reached out and handed a gold top-of-the-list pendant to Bai Lian. "Your high school exams are in a couple of days. I wish you success in leaping through the Dragon's Gate in advance." He had the pendant specially made by a goldsmith, and both Su Jiu and Bai Lian had one. Beside him, Su's assistant chimed in with auspicious words. "Miss Jiu said that with Miss Bai's math skills, you will surely make it to the top of the list." "Thank you," Bai Lian said humbly, accepting the pendant. Jiangjing, Su family old house. Su Jiu was still at school. Only the old Madam Su Weniao and Jai Mulin dined together. "I'll be sending Jiu to the exams on the day of her high school exams." The old lady held chopsticks in her right hand while turning Buddha beads in her left. "Weniao, you're busy with school, so there's no need to rush back especially." Su Weniao nodded in agreement. With the high school exams approaching, the old Madam Su was also anxious. After having a few bites, she suddenly remembered something. "What about your father?" "He's gone back to Xiancheng," began Su Weniao. "Alien also has her high school exams, so he went back to visit them in advance." The old Madam Su knew about Bai Lian's exams, but she never expected Su-en to make a special trip back for it. She looked at Jai Mulin across from her, thinking it odd that while the child's own mother didn't return, he, on the other hand, made sure to rush back. The old Madam Su refrained from further comment. After finishing the meal, the old lady still went to the temple at the back to offer incense to the Buddha, praying for Su Jiu's exam results. "Madam," the butler respectfully reported at her side, "according to the news, Miss Qi seems to have met the third young Master Su." The third young Master Su, a character of renown among the Su family clan. Su Jin and Su Jinyi were both overshadowed by the third young Master Su, and many people said that the next clan leader of the Su family should bypass the older generation and fall directly to the third young master. "Are you serious?" The old Madam Su opened her eyes wide, the murk in her eyes giving way to a sharp glint. Although she had no privilege to meet the third young master's group, it didn't stop her from always tracking their movements. The butler replied, "Most likely." The old Madam Su hung the Buddha beads on her wrist and clasped her hands together. "In a few days, I'll make a trip to the Qi family." June 4th. At Jai Shaojun's place, after finishing a day's worth of classes, Jai Shaojun and the house butler, among others, voiced their intention to return to Xiancheng. And they were planning to go back early tomorrow morning. The Dragon Boat Festival is coming up. The house butler looked at Jai Shaojun, disagreeing with his decision to go back. "I was planning to take you to meet the old master. Why are you heading back to Xiancheng at this time?" Jai Shaojun poured himself a cup of tea without looking up and didn't hide his intentions from the house butler, speaking at a leisurely pace. "Going back to see my dad and Alien. You can see people anytime." The house butler set down his teacup, his fingers etched with deep lines. "The old master has taken time out to meet you now." House butler. Shen Qing joined the conversation to explain. "It's different. Alien has her high school exams. Shaojun and I plan to go back and send her off." She sat next to Jai Shaojun, no longer as awkward as when she first arrived in Jiangjing. High school exams? The house butler paused, remembering Bai Lian indeed had her exams this year. And send off. He knew of Bai Lian, who lived with Jai Heng and attended Baikeng High School. With a stern expression, the house butler wondered, "I understand your care for her, but is a high school exam so significant that you need to go back especially to send her off?" He knew Shen Qing and Jai Shaojun always cared for Bai Lian, but it seemed that they were placing too much importance on Bai Lian's exams. He could understand paying a bit more attention, but was it really necessary to make the long trip back to Xiancheng just for this? Why were Shen Qing and Jai Shaojun so agitated, as if she were vying for the top scholar position? It's a holiday today, so let's ask for monthly votes to update more. 205 college entrance exam, go against the current straight to the clouds. Extra chapter for monthly pass. One Shen Qing opened her mouth, looked at the butler, and explained, "Alien is a good student." Last time at the Su family, Su Jiu had mentioned that Bai Lian was at some Yuan base, and as Shen Qing wasn't highly educated, she had almost forgotten about it after half a year. She couldn't remember what that base was, but she knew that Bai Lian was very likely to be directly admitted to Jiangjing University. For her, the fact that Bai Lian could attend Baikeng University was already surprising enough, let alone Jiangjing University. "I know," the butler said upon hearing this, only glancing at Shen Qing with a perfunctory tone. He had heard Shen Qing brag about Bai Lian's good grades more than once. But after all, the Mu family was a prominent clan, and the butler had seen all kinds of geniuses in the family. Could Bai Lian's excellent grades really surpass those of the past prodigies of the Mu family? Alien's mother hasn't gone back. Bai Shaoqi pulled out a cigarette, pinched it between his fingers without lighting it, and simply said, "If the two of us don't go back now, it might affect her mood." Affect her mood. The butler thought to himself, does it really matter to her whether it affects or not? But having been around them for so long, the butler knew Bai Shaoqi's character and didn't insist on keeping Bai Shaoqi and Shen Qing. He simply said, "All right, I'll have Zioji take you back. Make sure to return as soon as possible." He calculated the time. After the college entrance exam was over, it would be the Dragon Boat Festival. If Bai Shaoqi left right after her exams, he might be able to make it in time. June 5th. Lu Lingxi, with her hands on the lectern, swept her gaze across all the students, pausing on the seat next to Ning Zio. "Classmates, the day after tomorrow you will be on the battlefield. It is a struggle where each of you will fight alone. I will be here waiting for your triumphant return." Outside the window, the setting sun lay on the jungle, partly hidden in the clouds, with its light refracting from all around, casting a reddish twilight. Lu Lingxi began to talk about the exam precautions again, though she had already mentioned them many times. The classroom was very quiet. All the students were listening to her. It was unclear whether they were listening to her talk about the exam details or listening to the final high school exam precautions. For quite a while, Wang Qi was the first to jest. "Lu Mom, you owe us a hot pot meal." "Right, Lu Mom." The boys started to chuckle and laugh again. They seemed to be the carefree young lads they once were. "Okay," Lu Lingxi also laughed. "After the college entrance exam, I'll treat you all." Pu Ziohen's desk mate turned back gently, and looking at Pu Ziohen and Bai Lian, she asked, "After the exams, will we be able to be in the same city? Or will we ever meet again?" Bai Lian sat quietly at her seat, with many pieces of paper on her desk. All classmate autograph books passed to her by classmates or students from other classes. She bowed her head, slowly writing and listening to the other person's words, then slowly lifted her head. The light from the outside window fell on her profile, with her eyebrows and eyes as casual as always, pressing the paper in her hands deliberately with a finger, her voice very soft. "We will." Pu Ziohen hugged her deskmate's shoulder. "Don't worry, no matter where you go to school, I will come to see you." After the last class ended, Lu Lingxi stood at the lectern, watching all the students pack up and leave. Bai Lian finished the autograph books and handed the stack of papers to Pu Ziohen, all of which were entrusted by students from other classes to Pu Ziohen. Pu Ziohen walked ahead of her, and Bai Lian, one step behind, carrying her backpack, stopped beside Lu Lingxi. She handed Zhang Shai's letter to Lu Lingxi. Zhang Shai's handwriting was so poor that Lu Lingxi recognized it at a glance. Her students were about to take their college exams, and of all the people in the class, even Wang Qi had settled down to study seriously in the latter half of the semester. The only one she hadn't let go of was Zhang Shai's. Lu Lingxi lowered her head to open the letter. "Hi, Lu Mom, it's Zhang Shai's. I never thought I'd be writing to you from a place like this. I'm sorry, Lu Mom." Zhang Shai's letter was very long. Lu Lingxi didn't know. Since the incident with Zhang Shai's, he had never apologized to anyone, nor admitted his wrongs to anyone, because he didn't feel he was wrong. The only person he had said sorry to was Lu Lingxi. He says he's seriously reforming and studying there, and that he wants to become a lawyer later. Lu Lingxi carefully put away the letter. "Then I'm also relieved." June 7th. Early in the morning, Bai Shaoqi and Shen Qing arrived at Bai Heng's yard early to accompany Bai Lian to her college exams. Bai Lian still got up very early, rising at 6 in the morning to read for a while. Shen Qing dressed in festive red for the day, seeing Bai Lian's room door open. She brought in the food she made in the morning. "Alien, why don't you sleep a bit more?" 205 college entrance exam, go against the current straight to the clouds. Extra chapter for monthly pass. She and Bai Shaoqi had arrived yesterday morning, and she had prepared quite a few supplements for Bai Lian over the past 2 days. "No need." Bai Lian turned a page of the printout unhurriedly as her phone vibrated several times beside her. "I'm accustomed to this time now." The messages were wishes of good luck from Su Nanjing, Sister Yan Luxin, and the others. They all knew she had the college entrance exam today, except for one person. "He Wen, document walk, He Wen. Take a look at this today first," Bai Lian, while having breakfast, glanced at it and replied in a leisurely manner, "I can't today, He Wen." "What's wrong? Have you changed your focus recently?" Bai Lian. "No, Bai Lian. These 2 days are the college entrance exam." On the other side of the phone, He Wen, absorbed in his research and oblivious to the passage of time, checked the date and realized it was indeed the 7th of June. He was somewhat taken aback. Although Bai Lian had mentioned to him that she was a senior in high school, her effortless communication with him often made him forget that she was a high school senior. "Who else is taking the college entrance exam this year?" He Wen asked a team member beside him, tilting his head. The person didn't know either. "No idea, why do you ask?" "Nothing." He Wen sent Bai Lian a message saying, "Good luck on the college entrance exam," before he muttered to himself, "I just feel a bit sympathetic towards them." How would this year's college entrance exam candidates fare against Bai Lian? Experimental High School. Lu Lingxi stood at the main entrance. The traffic police were already in place and some students had arrived at the exam site. She had been there since 8 o'clock, watching the road intently. At 8:20, she saw a black electric scooter with the emblem of a Zhangcheng local restaurant on it. Lu Lingxi's steps faltered for a moment as she recognized it as the restaurant where Yang Lin worked part-time. Yang Lin was riding the scooter. Lu Lingxi saw her stop and quickly walked over to her. "Yang Lin!" Yang Lin parked the scooter. Her home was far from here, and the restaurant owner, knowing she had the exam today, had let her take the restaurant's delivery scooter home last night. "Teacher," Yang Lin removed her helmet and pulled out her bag from the side. Today, she had no one to escort her, but Lu Lingxi had been waiting for her. Lu Lingxi made an sound, touching the patch of hair that Yang Lin had grown out. "Did you bring everything? The national paper might be a bit difficult, but don't be nervous. Your teacher will wait for you here until you come out." Yang Lin wanted to say something, her gaze drifting through her bangs towards Lu Lingxi, but she refrained in the end. It seemed that ever since Bai Lian had come, she had rejected others less and less. After what seemed like a long silence, Yang Lin handed her phone to Lu Lingxi. "Teacher, could you please look after this for me?" Her grandparents were still in the countryside, and she was alone. If Lu Lingxi hadn't come, she probably would have left her phone in the security room. Never in the history of Zhangcheng was the college entrance exam as lively as it was this year. The main roads in Zhangcheng, particularly those leading to major exam venues, were manned by traffic police, and signs reading "No honking" were put up. Bai Lian's exam venue was at Experimental High School, which she had visited the previous day with Jiang Fulai. Bai Lian and Shen Qing rode in a taxi for examinees from Zhangcheng, distinguished by the sign, "Student taking the college entrance exam inside." And almost all the vehicles made way for this taxi. She and Shen Qing sat in the back, while Bai Shaoqi was in the passenger seat. It was Bai Lian's first time taking the college entrance exam, and the cars behind their taxi didn't honk their horns, a scene she had never witnessed before. Today, everyone was making way for these high school seniors heading to their battlefield. The people here really cared about their students. At 8:30, their taxi stopped at Experimental High School. There were many people there to see off the examinees. As soon as Bai Lian got out of the car, she saw Jiang Fulai standing under a tree. Today, he wore a deep gray casual jacket, his silhouette tall and straight. Amidst the bustling school entrance, only the space around him was serene. "Zhaojiang!" Shen Qing called out to Jiang Fulai and led Bai Lian toward him. Today, Bai Lian wore a white satin blouse embroidered with light yellow flowers at the cuffs and collar, and a peach-colored long skirt that shimmered delicately in the vivid daylight, as though she was wearing jade the color of peach blossoms, the fabric smooth and the luster warm. It seemed that after the graduation photo, she became less resistant to wearing brightly colored clothes. Jiang Fulai stood under the tree, quietly watching Bai Lian approach. Her figure was backlit, her face somewhat indistinct. Watching her walk towards him, he felt momentarily disoriented. Once they reached him, he greeted Shen Qing and Bai Shaoqi before looking down at Bai Lian. "Did you bring your pen, ID card, and admission ticket?" Bai Lian raised an eyebrow, not expecting him to say that. "I did." "Good." Jiang Fulai's eyelashes drooped as he said, "You go to the exam room and I will watch you go in." No one else was allowed to enter the exam site. "Zhaojiang, we can wait here. Do you want to head back?" Shen Qing glanced around, remembering that Jiang Fulai was usually very busy. "It's fine," Jiang Fulai replied softly. Bai Shaoqi looked at Jiang Fulai and then took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, but he said nothing. Jiang Fulai just stood there, watching Bai Lian carry only a pencil case as she walked step by step into the exam room, her silhouette calm and resolute. She marched into battle alone, yet it was as if she had the support of a mighty army at her back. Bai Lian remembered her exam room and seat, and after going through the security check and showing her admission ticket, she went inside. Most of the candidates were already there, and her arrival still drew quite a bit of attention. At 8:50, the two invigilators had calm expressions. After the preparation bell, they distributed the test papers and instructed the examinees. "Everyone, please write your name and admission number first. Don't forget." Bai Lian looked down at the handed-out test paper. National College Entrance Examination Paper, A, Chinese. She glanced at the paper, unzipped her pencil case, and took out the black pen she was used to. At 9 o'clock, the sunlight outside the classroom was just right. Bai Lian looked down at her pen and pulled off the cap. Lu Lingxi had said they were going into this day alone, but Bai Lian felt she wasn't alone. She took the pen and wrote her name on the answer sheet with bold strokes, Bai Lian. She began what she had truly come to this world for, her first real battle. Today her pen would be her spear, aiming straight for the top amidst the trials. First update 1. The first exam was Chinese language. The test paper began with a piece on technology, its sentences interspersed with numerous professional terms. Bai Lian glanced over the test and estimated its difficulty, feeling a bit worried for Wang Qi. As she pondered, she began writing down answers on her test paper. The proctor made a round and paused for a few seconds next to Bai Lian. Since the Guanj style lacked uniqueness and was not accepted into the Calligraphy Association, fewer people studied it. Guanj style emphasizes brushwork and endurance, as well as layout. Bai Lian's Guanj calligraphy, infused with the techniques of the Liang style, was considered excellent wherever it was placed. They had never seen such neat and pretty test papers. Proctors during the national examination are not allowed to stand beside a student for too long, to avoid pressuring the examinees, or else the proctor would have liked to take another look at that test paper. Time slowly passed. Having completed the previous questions, Bai Lian finally turned to the essay. The proctor at the lectern had been keeping an eye on this girl whose writing was very pretty. Seeing her flipping through the test paper for a long time without writing, he couldn't help but be surprised. Was the national exam hard by default? But he had seen that student writing smoothly all along, so why was she stuck on the essay? Was this year's essay particularly difficult? He wondered. At 11:30, the bell rang, and the proctor instructed all students to put down their pens and stop working on the test. Two teachers began collecting answer sheets, starting from both ends of the classroom. When they reached Bai Lian, the proctor saw the girl pressing down on the test paper with her left hand, tapping her fingertips on the desk intermittently, while supporting her chin with her right hand, her long eyelashes casting shadows, seemingly looking at the test paper, yet possibly lost in thought. "Student, it's time to hand in your answer sheet," the proctor reminded. Bai Lian finally snapped back to reality, pulling out her answer sheet from under the test paper and handing it to the teacher. After finishing the exam, Bai Shaoqi and Shen Qing went home early to cook, leaving only Jiang Fulai waiting for her at the gate. Jiang Fulai was still standing under that tree, looking at his phone with his black fringe slightly drooping. The temperature difference between morning and noon was big, so he had taken off his jacket, wearing only a loose white t-shirt. The midday heat was intense, and the other parents waiting around seemed restless and anxious, yet he was casually laid back with a natural cool aura. When he saw Bai Lian approach, he turned off his phone, looked up and walked her way, asking, "Was it difficult?" Jiang Fulai handed her the water he was holding. She hadn't turned in her paper early, so it was inevitable that he was curious about the difficulty of the questions. Bai Lian came back to her senses and followed Jiang Fulai to the parking area. Remembering Jiang Fulai's question, she belatedly answered, "Not difficult." By noon, after the morning exam, Weibo Hot Search was already synchronizing with the news. National exam essay question, a post from the news network, followed closely by an explosive indicator. Below it, comments flooded in from onlookers and college students. There weren't many high school seniors commenting because they were preparing for the afternoon math exam. Xinji, who was in the entertainment industry, knew that today was Bai Lian's college entrance exam and had been following the hot search. Seeing that the Chinese composition topic had exploded, she discussed with Yan Lu. Netizens are saying this year's essay question was too simple, but the reading comprehension and classical Chinese sections were simply brutal. I wonder how Miss Bai did. Miss Bai has a profound foundation in literature. Yan Lu closed the script book, seriously commenting. The afternoon exam was mathematics. Math has always been the most feared subject by students in both the arts and sciences, and this year's last 3 questions were progressively more difficult. Bai Lian worked her way from the front to the back, not using much of the draft paper on the desk for multiple choice and fill-in-the-blank questions, only starting to use it for the major problems. This year's 3rd major problem was to prove an inequality where xi equals 1, to demonstrate that a certain quartic equation in 3 variables was greater than 1. Almost all students in the examination hall wrote solution when they encountered this problem. Until it was time to collect the answer sheets and test papers, not a single student spoke. Journalists had been crouching early at the entrance to Xiangcheng First High School. Seeing the first student come out, a reporter hurriedly approached with a microphone, asking, "Student, was the math test difficult this year?" Every year, the national exam papers are criticized. The student looked up, and after seeing the camera, he even adjusted his hair. "Don't know. Don't know." The reporter found this interesting. "Do you feel that it's difficult to evaluate?" Student, "No, it's that I didn't understand a single question." Reporter, "Math was indeed difficult, and the expressions on the students' faces as they left the examination room were wilted." After finishing the exam, Lu Lingxi immediately sent a message in the group. "Everyone forget about this exam as soon as you're done and rest well. Be at peace to welcome the final 2 exams tomorrow." Most students were quite devastated as they exited the examination hall. Update: 2 Mathematics and Mandarin are always headline news during the annual college entrance examination. After the math exam, National College Entrance Mathematics exam quickly topped the trending searches, and the high school seniors who had held in their anxiety all day finally let loose, venting about the difficulty of the math exam. Top comment: "I've competed in math contests, but I only managed to draw an auxiliary line on the penultimate problem, smile." Netizens clicked in and indeed saw the provincial team medal that this student had boasted about last year. They were somewhat surprised. It was one thing for the average person to find it difficult, but why was it hard even for a prodigy who made it into the provincial team? In the afternoon, Shen Qing and Bai Shaoqi both waited for Bai Lian at the school gate. Seeing the collapsed state of a group of students, they didn't dare to ask Bai Lian a single question. Jiang Fulai stood beside Bai Lian, looking down and about to ask how Bai Lian did on the math test. Shen Qing cleared her throat lightly. "Zio Jiang, come have dinner with us tonight." She interrupted Jiang Fulai. Jiang Fulai just glanced at Bai Lian and didn't ask any more questions. The group returned to Jai Heng's courtyard, where Jai Heng was playing Go with Jiang He. When they arrived, Jai Heng saw Jiang Fulai, let out a sigh of relief, and quickly stood up with his smoking pipe in hand. "Zio Jiang, come here." Jiang He slowly looked up, saw Jiang Fulai, and his casually swinging leg slowly came to a halt. Jiang Fulai sat casually opposite Jiang He and picked up a white stone at random. 2 minutes later, Jiang Fulai glanced at Jiang He and stood up unhurriedly. "We must respect our elders." Jiang He. Bai Shaoqi and Shen Qing were busy in the kitchen when he received a call from the butler. On the other end of the phone, the butler was standing in the courtyard. "What time are you leaving tomorrow? I'll arrange for a car to take you to Baikeng." They were going to fly to Jiangjing from Baikeng. The college entrance examination would end tomorrow. "I can't come back tomorrow," Bai Shaoqi pondered slightly. "Let's leave on the 9th in the afternoon." The 9th was the Dragon Boat Festival, and Bai Shaoqi wanted to have a meal with Jai Heng before he left. The butler was silent for a long time. He pressed against his brow, his eyebrows soaked in numerous weathered experiences now revealing his age. "That's fine. How did your niece do on the exam?" "I don't know." Bai Shaoqi rinsed vegetables with one hand, his voice lightening a bit. "We heard the math problems were too difficult, so we didn't ask her about it." The butler was merely making a polite inquiry, and he was not surprised to hear Bai Shaoqi respond in that way. "If possible, I still hope you can return before the Dragon Boat Festival." The following day, the last 2 exams, comprehensive science and English, there was no hardest, only harder. In the afternoon, the last exam, English. In the examination room, after Bai Lian finished writing the last word of her English essay, after double-checking the questions, and after confirming her multiple-choice answers on the answer sheet were correct, she just looked at the black pen in her hand. She didn't have many fancy pens. This was the pen she had been using since her senior year of high school. The refill changed countless times. Its black casing had already lost its shine. Bai Lian set aside her answer sheet and capped her pen. At the same time, in the examination room at school number 3, Yang Lin also finished the last sentence. She drew a period at the end of her essay, and as the sunlight from outside fell on her exam paper, Yang Lin appeared somewhat dazed. She had struggled for 12 years, studied hard for 12 years, seemingly all for this very moment. 5 o'clock. The bell rang, symbolizing the end of the most important exam of the senior students' lives, but their journey in life was only just beginning. After handing in her exam paper and answer sheet, Bai Lian followed the flow of people out. It was earlier than the usual end of class, and the sunlight was slightly glaring. Bai Lian carried her pencil case lazily through the crowd. Under the tree at the school gate, Jiang Fulai wore a loose, short-sleeved shirt and stood casually under the tree, looking somewhat relaxed. There were many parents waiting for students at the school gate, most of them holding bouquets of sunflowers, but Jiang Fulai was different. What he held in his hand was a bouquet of flowers most people wouldn't recognize. Single-layered petals, each as light as a cloud and swaying gently with the wind, stood tall and delicate. They were red and radiant, pink as peach blossoms, white as snow, and blue like mist, simultaneously elegant and magnificent, dazzling in their brilliance. Many around him glanced in his direction with sidelong looks. There were just a few parents waiting for their children's exams, which is why quite a few people recognized Jiang Fulai over the past couple of days. His demeanor was excessively cold. His presence, even when subdued, was still so daunting that it kept people at bay, making him seem like an unattainable flower on a high cliff. Now, seeing him with flowers, most were surprised. Jiang Fulai's light-colored eyes casually scanned the crowd. When he saw Bai Lian, he stood up straight. As she approached him, he didn't speak but instead handed her the bouquet of flowers. Bai Lian took them, raised her eyebrows at Jiang Fulai, and he also handed her phone back to her. Right after the test, the Class 15 group chat was buzzing nonstop. Wang Qi was stirring things up again. Wang Qi. Others lined up to chime in below. Bai Lian put her phone back into her pocket and began gently fidgeting with the petals again before looking up at Jiang Fulai. "Let's go to the hot pot restaurant near the school." Jiang Fulai knew they had a gathering today and led Bai Lian toward the car. As they passed through the crowd, many watched their retreating figures, speculating in whispers whether they were celebrities from somewhere else. Xian Cheng remained the same. The girl was still the same girl. The poppies bloomed year after year without fail. Jiangjing. On the last day of the exams, Madame Su took Su Jiyu to the test center, after which she stayed in the prayer hall the whole time. When the exams ended, she finally came out of the prayer hall, anxiously waiting in the hall for Su Jiyu to return. In the hall, Su En sent a text to ask how Bai Lian had done on the exam. Since she hadn't replied, he worried the child might not have done well. Seeing Madame Su frequently stand up to look towards the main door, he said, "Mom, don't worry. Sit down and wait patiently. The exams are over." How could Madame Su not be anxious? She sat back down and asked the people in the hall, "Do you think Jiyu did well this time?" "Of course," nodded Jai Mulin, who always had great faith in Su Jiyu. "Jiyu is the smartest child I've ever met." The butler even laughed. "Just get ready to celebrate being the top scholar's grandmother." The old lady felt reassured. It was at this moment that a car horn sounded outside. The driver had come to pick up Su Jiyu. Madame Su quickly got up, leaning on her cane, and as soon as Su Jiyu got out of the car, she went over to ask, "Jiyu, how did it go? What do you estimate your score to be?" A student prodigy like Su Jiyu usually had a good idea of their score right after the test. This time, however, Su Jiyu shook her head. "I'm not sure." Su Weniao, who was looking at his phone, was surprised. Was this year's college entrance exam that difficult? Was it so hard that even Su Jiyu couldn't be sure? "Extremely difficult," said Su Jiyu with her glasses on, speaking politely. "The last problem in both math and physics were types I had never seen before. On my way back, I asked Liang Dog, and he was uncertain too." Su Jiyu and Liang Wuyu were both considered geniuses in Su Weniao's eyes, especially Liang Wuyu, who had been participating in various competitions since middle school, finished high school curriculum in his freshman year, and by his senior year, he was studying in a laboratory with a mentor. One could say his knowledge had surpassed 99.9% of senior students. Even Liang Wuyu was unsure. How difficult were the questions this year? "That hard." Su Weniao clenched his phone, standing up, surprised. "What happened?" The difficulty level of the college entrance exam was usually similar each year, unless there was an exception. Su Weniao remembered that several years ago, there was a particularly hard set of exam questions that came to be known as the toughest college entrance exam ever. And to this day, no other exams had surpassed its difficulty. But this year, what happened? Second watch, one on the screen was the WeChat interface. He had sent several messages to Bai Lian, asking about her gaokao and when she would be coming to Jiangjing. But she hadn't replied the whole time. Listening to Su Weniao and Su Jiyu's conversation, he opened Bai Lian's profile picture and then sent another message, Suen. "Even Jiyu and others say this gaokao was tough. Don't dwell on it if you've passed. No one from the affiliated school did well, Suen. Number at %." He sent a long string of comforting words. "Nothing much is going on at our school." Su Jiyu put down her pencil case, speaking slowly and softly. "The students in our class are all discussing this. Many didn't do well." "That's strange indeed." Su Weniao narrowed his eyes slightly. How come the questions were so far beyond the norm this year? If the difficulty of the questions was beyond the norm, the gaokao organizers must have consulted experts. So, why did the expert panel go to such lengths? At first, when Su Jiyu mentioned the difficulty of the questions, old Mrs. Su felt a thump in her heart. Later, when she heard that everyone else also found it difficult, the old lady was relieved. Don't worry about whether the questions were beyond the norm. Jiyu just has to perform as usual. To perform as usual meant ranking in at least the top 3. In Xiancheng, at a hot pot restaurant, Bai Lian saw Su En's messages just as Pu Ziohen was ordering food. Ning Xiao and Tang Ming had just been discussing the last math problem with her, so she hadn't had time to check her phone. Now that she looked, there were a stack of messages on her phone. She scrolled from top to bottom through Su En's texts. "Bai Lian, tough. Bai Lian, Bai Lian, I'll go to Jiangjing in July," she replied to Su En one message at a time. "Bai, stop looking at your phone all the time." Wang Qi, sitting opposite Bai Lian, tossed a bottle of liquor to her. "Come on, drink up." Bai Lian, holding her phone, didn't even lift her head and caught the beer with precision. Wang Qi, who often brought mineral water to Bai Lian, Pu Ziohen, Ning Zio, and the others during breaks, had become quite close with them. Ning Zio's outsider friend, Tang Ming, witnessing this for the first time, murmured to himself, "So cool." Lu Lingxi had booked 2 private rooms. Most of the people in the class were of legal age now, and with the gaokao over, she had exceptionally ordered alcohol for the class. Nobody should drink too much. Safety is the most important thing. As she spoke, her gaze fell upon Bai Lian. Seeing Wang Qi hand Bai Lian the drink, Lu Lingxi was about to stop them, but saw Bai Lian take the bottle and nonchalantly pull open the tab with one hand. Bai Lian put down her phone, rested her wrist on the table, and casually leaned back in her chair, tapping her slender legs lightly. She was wearing a long dress in ancient Chinese style, but at that moment she was slouching with her leg propped up, sipping her beer with deliberate slowness. With her fine features and a countenance that suggested she had walked out of an ink and wash painting, she appeared elegant and mysterious, yet there was a hint of unruliness about her that made her enigmatic. Every move she made was elegant and charming. The lights in the private room were on, with the harsh glare of the crystal chandelier, which made Lu Lingxi feel somewhat dazzled. It always felt like she was looking at the Bai Lian she knew, yet not the Bai Lian she understood. "Lu Mom!" Bai Lian turned her head slightly upon noticing the stare and lazily curved her lips. "Lu Mom, what's the matter?" "Nothing," Lu Lingxi said with a smile and a shake of her head. The gaokao was over, and she really shouldn't be putting pressure on the students, but she still couldn't help but ask, "How did you do in the Chinese exam?" Lu Lingxi finished speaking and focused on Bai Lian's expression. Bai Lian swirled her beer glass. "Not too bad." As casual as ever, Lu Lingxi couldn't discern anything from her eyes and didn't ask further. "All of you have fun. Everything else can wait until the gaokao results come out." The 9th Dragon Boat Festival. Bai Lian had just finished lunch with Bai Shaoqi and others at Jai Heng's place. After lunch, Bai Shaoqi had to hurry to Baikeng. His plane was in the evening. The person coming to take Bai Shaoqi to Baikeng was Zioji. Seeing Bai Lian also sitting in the car, Zioji recognized her, and after a pause, he asked softly, "Mr. Jai, is Miss Bai also going to Jiangjing?" The plane tickets were arranged by the family butler. Only 3 were bought for Bai Shaoqi, Shen Qing, and Zioji. "No," Bai Shaoqi sat in the passenger seat, pulling out a cigarette, his gaze still on Purist Street. He said casually, "She's coming with us to Baikeng." To Baikeng. Zioji breathed a sigh of relief. If Bai Lian was going to Jiangjing with them at this time, he wouldn't know how to arrange things. However, Baikeng. He started the car and looked into the rearview mirror, wondering what Bai Lian was going to do in Baikeng. In the back seat, Bai Lian opened her zither case, pulled out the gazhang, and casually plucked it a couple of times, the strings resonating with a zeng-zeng sound. Second watch, Tu Jianji and Qiu Zuzhang had led several teachers from the Xiangcheng Calligraphy Association, along with the official instructors, to Baikeng before the college entrance examination. She would arrive later due to the exam. Jiang He stayed at Jai Heng's place in Xiangcheng, while Jiang Fulai was delayed accompanying someone at the research institute and was still there. The highway from Xiangcheng to Baikeng had been rebuilt, and as Zioji drove onto the highway while chatting with Bai Shaoqi, he remarked, "When was this road finished? It's a lot smoother to drive on than before." In just 4 months, the changes in Xiangcheng were noticeable to him on this visit. The roads were wider, shopping centers and residential developments were thriving, and the flow of people was comparable to that of a second-tier city. "Good policy," Bai Shaoqi said as he watched Purist Street recede into the distance, then withdrew his gaze with a grave tone. Zioji had nothing more to say after that. This stretch of highway led straight to Baikeng. In less than 7 hours, Zioji's car arrived in Baikeng. "Miss Bai, where would you like to go?" he asked. Bai Lian gave him an address, the name of a hotel. Zioji drove to the destination, Baikeng Jiahao Hotel. The car stopped and Bai Lian's phone rang. Looking down, Bai Lian saw it was Dean Jian calling. She began to pack her violin while answering the call. "Have you arrived in Baikeng?" Dean Jian was well informed. "Yes," Bai Lian said, taking her violin case and getting out of the car with a casual tone. Dean Jian hummed in response. "You've finished your exams too. Remember the composition you owe Yan Lu. My flight is tomorrow." "I have some ideas. I'll tell you more when you arrive," Bai Lian said, brimming with inspiration after just finishing her exams. As she spoke with Dean Jian, Xiaoji opened the trunk behind her and handed her the little suitcase, which was quite heavy as he lifted it with both hands. "Thank you," Bai Lian said, reaching out to take it. Shen Qing bid farewell to Bai Lian reluctantly, and after getting into the car, she rolled down the window for a last look at Bai Lian standing at the hotel entrance. Seeing Bai Lian disappear from the rearview mirror, Xiaoji grew curious. "Miss Bai, are you writing a song for someone?" He had heard Bai Lian mention composing. "I don't know," Shen Qing was not sure, "but Mr. Jian says she's very talented." Mr. Jian? Who was that? Xiaoji had not heard of him before. Jiahao Hotel, a nationwide chain of 5-star hotels, was also the accommodation chosen by the Xiangcheng Calligraphy Association for this trip, located close to the headquarters of the Baikeng Writers Association. Bai Lian carried her violin with one hand, while a hotel attendant pushed her luggage cart and led her to her room. They were waiting for the elevator. The nearest elevator was coming down from the second floor, which housed a restaurant and banquet hall. Many classes chose to gather there for celebrations right after finishing their exams yesterday. Inside the elevator, there were 2 boys and 1 girl. "Without young Master Song, it's dull," the boy shrugged. He was the class president of Baikeng International Class. "You know, apart from Bai Shaoqi, no one else can invite him, and Shaoqi couldn't make it today because she's busy." The boy with a buzz cut beside him rubbed his head. "I heard Song Min didn't do well in math this time." "A top student's bad score is still number 1. The girl fiddled with her phone and spoke casually. And with that crazy question, even the class teacher said it was tough. Who could do well? The 3 of them were talking when the elevator door opened with a ding. The moment the door opened, it seemed to brighten. Standing outside the elevator was a girl in plain, long dress clothes with her hair pulled back, casually holding a long box. Her other hand played with her phone, seemingly texting someone. Seeing people inside, the girl moved aside, and as she did so, the loose strands of her hair fell down. The 3 students inside the elevator were momentarily stunned by her appearance. The girl in the middle exclaimed in disbelief, "Bai Lian!" Hearing her name, Bai Lian looked up. She squinted her eyes as she recognized the student committee member from Baikeng High's 12th grade 2nd class, Zunye. Class 2 of grade 11 at Baikeng High School was a liberal arts class, which was also the class Bai Lian, a former student, had attended for 2 years. Bai Lian glanced at them, didn't speak, but simply stepped aside to bypass them and walked into the elevator. After the elevator doors closed, the 2 boys next to Zun Yi finally realized what had happened. They were in the international class and had only interacted with Bai Lian for 1 day. But because Bai Lian often went to the international class to find Song Min, they were quite familiar with her. The class president of the international class, Kong Yifan, came back to his senses. "Was that Bai Lian who just passed by? I feel like she's changed a lot." "I heard she was in Xiangcheng, so how come she's back?" snorted the boy with the crew cut upon learning it was Bai Lian. "Who knows if she can even make it into Baikeng? It's a good thing she left our class, otherwise our class's 100% undergraduate rate would have been dragged down by her." Word of Bai Lian's return spread in the Class 2 and international classes group chats. The Bai family. Bai Shaoqi had just finished her college entrance examination the day before, and the patriarch of the Bai family clan came early to discuss the opening of the family shrine with Bai Kaiming. If Bai Shaoqi were the only one entering Jiangjing University, perhaps the clan wouldn't make such a fuss. But having 2 talents in one family was indeed rare, and the patriarch valued Bai Shaoqi very highly. The Bai family originated from scholars and always prioritized those who had achieved scholarly honor or made contributions to the state. Since Bai Kaiming was a businessman, there wasn't much reaction to him within the Bai family clan. It was only after Bai Shaoqi that the clan began to pay attention to Bai Kaiming's lineage. Today, with the patriarch's visit, Bai Kaiming also threw a banquet. He even specially invited Song Min and his parents. At the table, the clan patriarch discussed Bai Shaoqi and Bai Shaoqi with Bai Kaiming. Dean Jian, is it the senior from the Jian family? Hearing Bai Kaiming mention Dean Jian, the Bai patriarch was surprised. The Jian family also had a long-standing history in Baikeng, being a genuine family of scholarly reputation. Having some acquaintance with the patriarch, he knew Jian Zhongyu was an important national cultural heritage figure who held the positions of both the director of Jiangjing Culture Bureau and the president of Jiangjing Music Academy. He represented the national cultural heritage. In the past, he would have been a royal or a high-ranking official worthy of worship in the royal temple. Unfortunately, the Jian family had not yet been able to bring him back. If such a person were to appear in the Bai family, the patriarch would enshrine him. Yes, Bai Kaiming looked at Bai Shaoqi beside him. Not only is Shaoqi excellent in her academic studies, but she is also quite accomplished on the Guzhang. Shaoqi mentioned that Dean Jian might come to Baikeng soon, and I want Shaoqi to push herself even harder to seize the opportunity. The patriarch's gaze towards Bai Shaoqi grew more astonished. Indeed, she must strive. These kids are good, Mr. Song. Your Song family will also produce a top scholar. The Bai patriarch then looked towards Song Min, who was next to Bai Shaoqi. Mr. Song raised his glass to the patriarch with a smile. Not necessarily. This child said he didn't do well in math. The math this time was difficult. No one could do well. Bai Shaoqi looked at Song Min, consoling. My brother even said it was tough. Bai Shaoqi was at Jiangjing University and being last year's top scholar, had authoritative opinions. Just then, Song Min, looking at his phone, suddenly hesitated, and his soup spoon struck his bowl, making a loud noise. Everyone at the table looked over at him, and Mrs. Song lowered her voice. What's wrong? Song Min looked up, seemingly in a trance. Bai Lian has returned to Baikeng. A touch of stiffness appeared on Shaoqi's smiling face. Bai Kaiming frowned at the mention of Bai Lian. The patriarch was yet unaware that, for the sake of Bai Shaoqi and her brother, Bai Kaiming had unilaterally removed Bai Lian's name from the family register without consulting the great-uncle. Upon hearing the name Bai, the patriarch was puzzled. Who is Bai Lian? A member of our Bai family. The butler, topping off the patriarch's drink, explained, she is the eldest daughter born to the former madam. The master previously placed her in the international class. Bai Kaiming's face darkened once again upon hearing these things. The butler spoke vaguely. The patriarch understood that Bai Lian, due to her poor performance in the sciences, had been moved by the exasperated international class teacher to the liberal arts class. Lion 1, let's not talk about such matters today. Bai Kaiming raised his glass to the Bai clan leader and the Song family members. You already have 2 outstanding family members, so you should at least allow your ancestors to rest for a while. The Bai clan leader wasn't very interested in her either and didn't ask further. How did you learn about the news from Dean Jian? Are you familiar with the Jian family? The young lady was, after all, a girl. Generally, girls were not allowed on the family genealogy, but Bai Lian had made it onto the genealogy because Bai Kaiming had specifically asked the clan elders for permission. It wasn't us, it was Shaoqi. Bai Kaiming mentioned Bai Shaoqi with a clear smile on his face. He and young master Jian Rong of the Jian family are good friends. The Jian family in Baikeng always kept a distance from merchants. Bai Kaiming had made a considerable amount of money, but his Bai family's legacy was not long, and although well known in Baikeng, they couldn't compare with those clans with deep historical roots, let alone the fact that Jian Zhonghai had an extraordinary brother. I knew Shaoqi was no ordinary person. The Bai clan leader's eyes sparkled as he spoke, pausing for a moment. After the scores are released, set a time to go back to our clan, and let's add Shaoqi to the genealogy too. Latterly, Bai Shaoqi was directly added to the family genealogy, but Bai Shaoqi had not been. Even though Shaoqi had made it to Jiangjing University, she was still a bit short of making it onto the genealogy. But now her brother had made his mark at Jiangjing University. Initially, Bai Shaoqi had grown up with his mother and not had many resources. Still, he managed to become the top scholar of Baikeng, and at a resource mecca like Jiangjing University, he could only do better and better. Guaranteed postgraduate recommendation and a doctorate were just a matter of time. Upon hearing the Bai clan leader's words, Bai Kaiming finally showed a smile on his face. "Shaoqi, aren't you going to offer a toast to the elder clan leader?" With the Bai clan leader's words, Bai Kaiming felt that the position of the next clan leader of the Bai family would very likely be conferred on him. By his side, Bai Shaoqi also let out a sigh of relief and stood up. No one else at the dining table spoke. Lady Song just gave Song Min a glance. Bai Lian had left the Bai family for nearly a year now, and it was just after the college entrance examination. Why did she choose to return during this time? After dinner, Bai Kaiming saw the clan leader out, then turned to the butler. "Has she returned?" The butler knew exactly who she was. "No." Bai Kaiming frowned but didn't mention Bai Lian again. "Did the young master say anything else?" "That Dean Jian," the butler remembered the matter, "is coming to attend the traditional music concert in Baikeng. It's an official engagement that was confirmed last month." "A concert?" Bai Kaiming was surprised, somewhat unexpected that Dean Jian would specially come to Baikeng for it. "Go book several tickets." "Since everyone knows that Dean Jian is coming, it's not certain that there will be tickets available, but I will try my best to find some." The butler flipped through his schedule. "Should I book Mingtai Villa for the young ladies' party as usual?" Many of the Bai family's banquets were held at Mingtai Villa. Bai Lian and Bai Shaoqi's previous birthday parties were also held there, which isn't considered the most luxurious place in Baikeng. Bai Kaiming paused for a moment before saying, "This time, it will be at Jiahao. I will go there tomorrow." Jiahao Hotel, a global chain of hotels, was Baikeng's most luxurious venue for hosting banquets, frequented by political and business dignitaries for their soirees. Securing the banquet floor would cost 6 times more than Mingtai Villa. Even Bai Shaoqi's scholar celebration banquet was held there. This wasn't something the butler could simply secure with a phone call. Not expecting Bai Kaiming to choose this, the butler bowed his head, thinking that Bai Shaoqi's status in the Bai family was different from before. Added to the family genealogy, the celebration banquet to be held at Jiahao. Even if Bai Lian returned to Baikeng, Bai Kaiming had no intention of meeting her. Letting out a long sigh, the butler felt reassured that his previous choice was correct. He had picked the right side to stand on. He then went to the kitchen to prepare a plate of fruit and dessert for Bai Shaoqi and sent it upstairs. The hotel. The room was booked by Qiu Zuzhang, a small suite with a little sitting area and a bedroom, not very spacious. Bai Lian had taken a bath after she arrived. The cell phone on the table in the living area started ringing. She tied the sash of her robe and, holding a towel, went out to answer the call. The curtains in the room were drawn, and she leaned casually against the table. On seeing the caller ID, it was Su Nanjing. "Little sister Bai Lian, today is the Dragon Boat Festival." Su Nanjing's voice was cheerful. Bai Lian's thoughts drifted back, and she wiped her hair leisurely. Su Nanjing, picking up on her tone, tried to gauge her mood. Though he was usually skilled at reading people, he felt somewhat uncertain with Bai Lian, so he probed, "The college entrance exams have just finished." He wasn't a recent school leaver and hadn't paid much attention to the exams, but he remembered that this year was Bai Lian's. Those who pay attention to the college entrance exams generally have children or relatives participating. Most adults already in the workforce only briefly notice when some related videos pop up. Su Nanjing timed her call to wish Bai Lian good luck with the exams and also reached out to her after the exams to see how she did. But no matter how she tried to ask indirectly, she couldn't get anything out of Bai Lian, who always seemed nonchalant with a rather restrained emotion. "Right." Bai Lian casually wiped her hair a few times before grabbing a remote and turning on the TV. Hearing the sound of the television, Su Nanjing figured Bai Lian must have done okay and laughed. "So when are you coming to Jiangjing?" Recently, everyone who contacted Bai Lian asked her this question. Bai Lian switched channels. "In July, not sure exactly when." The hotel's TV seemed different from the one at home, requiring membership for everything. Bai Lian flipped through several channels to find the same situation. She threw the remote aside. July? Su Nanjing calculated the time. The old man's birthday was in July, and if Bai Lian came early enough, she should be able to make it. Okay, then I'll wait for you in Jiangjing. After hanging up the phone, Bai Lian opened WeChat to message Jiang Fulai. By classmate. Image. By classmate. She was now adept at typing with the 26-key input method, but still preferred to be concise. On the other side of the phone. Today was the Dragon Boat Festival, and half the research team had gone home. Jiang Fulai was still occupied, and when he saw the message, 10 minutes had already passed. He cradled a record book in his left hand while writing lines of text with his right. The handwriting flowed like moving clouds and flowing water. As he walked to the office, the arc of his anti-radiation coat fluttered. Reaching his desk, he casually placed the record book on the table. With a detached demeanor, he didn't bother to look at the middle-aged man following him, simply picking up his phone to say, "No quota." The Jiang family's eldest son couldn't be bothered to appease anyone, whether in the lab or at home with the Jiangs. He held the power of decision, and trying to sneak any additional people onto his team was nearly impossible. Even the Gao family had to back down. The middle-aged man, having lost face, had to offer a forced smile. There was no helping it. He couldn't influence this man who, though absorbed in research, had long before his official admission to Jiangjing University tightly organized the Jiangs to the point where everyone in the Jiang family feared Jiang Zijiu. But in that circle of old foxes, who didn't know whom Jiang Zijiu belonged to? Both the Chen family and the Su family were desperate for a marriage alliance with the Jiangs, but could never even get a meeting. The middle-aged man stepped out, closing the door behind him, and cast a last glance inside before leaving. At the desk, the man glanced at his phone, tapping his fingertips on the table. Although his expression was hidden by downcast eyes, something about him seemed more approachable than before. Jiang Fulai was unusually silent. He looked at Bai Lian's message, tapping the screen to force calm. "It's the hotel's issue. Don't worry about it." He waited a while, but Bai Lian didn't reply, and the young master of the Jiangs switched out of the app somewhat sullenly, only to see several messages below, 2 of which were from Su Nanjing, asking if he would return for the summer break. Jiang Fulai. Yes, this one-word reply made Su Nanjing, who was at a club in Jiangjing, stand up abruptly. "What's the matter, third young master?" Zia Ziming by his side was quite surprised since it took something significant to astonish Su Nanjing like this. Su Nanjing only glanced at him, nothing special. After a moment, he clicked his tongue. I knew it. Jiang Fulai had been engrossed in scientific research for years, rarely getting involved with external affairs. Everyone in Jiangjing's circles knew of him, but few had ever seen him. Over the years, only old Master Chen had managed to meet him a few times. This was a national treasure, holding the keys to several critical projects. This summer, his grandfather's birthday was coming up, and Su Nanjing had not expected Jiang Fulai to show up, but knowing that Bai Lian was coming to Jiangjing, perhaps afterward. Su Nanjing thought that the young Master Jiang might start living in Jiangjing more permanently. The next day, Bai Lian got up before 6 in the morning. The hotel was soundproofed, so after getting ready, she first opened the curtains. She took out a printed research paper from her suitcase and started reading it on the balcony. The paper was by academician Ma himself, a recent analytical literature piece in English, which included many new terms. Bai Lian laid the document on the glass table of the balcony, her wrist holding it down, occasionally underlining something of note. After the college entrance exams, she had stopped working on chemistry and biology. She understood English but had mostly been exploring new problems in physics and math. At 7, someone rang the doorbell. Bai Lian, holding the document, answered the door to find a middle-aged man and a hotel service employee. The middle-aged man smiled at the sight of Bai Lian. "Good morning, Miss Bai. I'm Zai Zhangfei, here to deliver your breakfast." The hotel offers a buffet breakfast, and last night Jian Zhangyu mentioned to Bai Lian that they would have breakfast on the 22nd floor at 7. Bai Lian responded with a simple, "Okay." then lowered her head to look at the breakfast cart. Aside from breakfast, there was a purple clay teapot on the cart. Bai Lian reached out to pour a cup from the white porcelain teapot next to it, recognized what tea it was, and asked the server to go in and set up the plates. "Thank you." "Don't mention it, Miss Bai." Zai Zhangfei handed Bai Lian a business card. "Since you checked in late last night, I didn't want to disturb you. Please feel free to call me if you need anything." "Sure," Bai Lian accepted politely. She glanced down at the card, Zai Zhangfei, General Manager. Inside, the floor supervisor placed breakfast on the table on the balcony, being very respectful towards Bai Lian. "Miss Bai, if you need anything, just dial the internal line and press the number 1 button." After the supervisor left, he noted down the room number, 1108, and finally instructed the service department that calls from the guest in room 1108 needed to be answered immediately, and they were to notify her. 1108 isn't even the presidential suite, several of the receptionists commented in surprise. The supervisor only gave them a stern look, without explaining the reason. Even for the presidential suite, the general manager had never handled it personally. 8 o'clock, Jiahao Hotel lobby. Vice President Zhou was speaking with Qiu Zuzhang. "Do you really have a special class member this time?" The Xiangcheng Calligraphy Association came for an evaluation, and Vice President Zhou knew Qiu Zuzhang well. As a candidate for the next president, Vice President Zhou had heard some news. "You'll find out when the time comes," Qiu Zuzhang said coolly. As they were talking, a black Cayenne stopped at the hotel entrance, and a hotel concierge immediately went to open the door. From the back seat, Bai Kaiming got out. The assistant from the front passenger seat also got out and followed closely behind Bai Kaiming. "Manager Liu said that the 28th has been booked, but everything is still subject to your discussion with him." Bai Kaiming nodded. He entered the hotel, planning to go to the hotel office to find Manager Liu when he spotted a familiar figure in the center of the hotel lobby. He hesitated for a moment, then took a few steps forward. President Zhou. Vice President Zhou of the Baikeng Writers Association and also a public official of Baikeng. Bai Kaiming had seen Vice President Zhou at government tender meetings, the son of Zhou Wenin, the highest ruling authority in Baikeng. "Mr. Bai," Vice President Zhou stopped mid-sentence, looking at Bai Kaiming politely yet distantly. Bai Kaiming knew Vice President Zhou was as unapproachable as the members of the Jian family. He noticed there was an elderly man beside Vice President Zhou, but Vice President Zhou didn't introduce him. He just smiled, extending an olive branch. "I wonder if President Zhou would have the time to attend the party I'm hosting for my daughter at the end of the month." Vice President Zhou smiled, but didn't immediately respond. He wasn't close with the Bai family. Bai Kaiming still needed to arrange a venue with the hotel, so he planned to exchange a few words with Vice President Zhou before leaving. At that moment, the lift nearby opened, and Bai Lian stepped out. Bai Kaiming, catching sight of the figure from the corner of his eye, paused mid-sentence. He squinted at Bai Lian's figure. Today she was wearing a white, loose-fitting t-shirt with 2 diagonally crossed green bamboos embroidered on it, simple and elegant. Her demeanor was restrained. She was a stark contrast to the rebellious and uneducated Bai Lian in Bai Kaiming's memory. When he first saw Bai Lian, Bai Kaiming was taken aback for quite some time. Beside Bai Kaiming, Vice President Zhou took a step forward as Qiu Zuzhang said to Bai Lian, "Perfect timing, the car is waiting outside." "I'm late, I'm sorry." Bai Lian didn't look at Bai Kaiming but apologized to Qiu Zuzhang. "I didn't realize you were waiting for me downstairs." Vice President Zhou smiled and explained to Bai Lian, "Miss Bai, I told Master Qiu not to disturb you, worried that it might interrupt your practice." As he escorted Bai Lian out, they both ignored Bai Kaiming. Vice President Zhou was still curious who the special class member was, so he said to Bai Kaiming, "Mr. Bai, let's meet again some other time." As Vice President Zhou spoke to Bai Kaiming, the smile on his face faded, becoming more formal. It was clear that he had a good relationship with Bai Lian. Bai Kaiming came to his senses, almost subconsciously asking, "President Zhou, how do you know my daughter?" Kaiming had not seen Bai Lian for a very long time. In his memory, Bai Lian was too extravagant, never studying properly from childhood. She only hung around a bunch of bad influences, frequenting bars and racing cars. Even when Zhai Mulan personally taught her calligraphy and painting, she couldn't learn, dozing off at the sight of books. She could even infuriate her music teachers. Her academic performance at school was poor, and she couldn't even understand the Bai family's financial reports. She was practically good for nothing. At first, Bai Qiming thought that with his and Zhai Mulan's intelligence, they could produce a genius, but he gradually became disappointed when Guo Yueqing brought Bai Shaoqi and Bai Shaoqi into the picture. Merchants prioritize profits. After weighing the pros and cons, it was clear that Bai Shaoqi and Bai Shaoqi were more important than Bai Lian. He could abandon Zhai Mulan. What more of Bai Lian? Yet now, Bai Qiming was shocked to find that the Bai Lian he knew only as a party-goer, and Racer seemed very familiar with Vice President Zhou. Vice President Zhou was also quite well known in Baikeng, set to be the next president of the Calligraphy Association, having organized several calligraphy exhibitions. From a family involved in politics, no one who entered the high ranks of the Calligraphy Association was simple. Jian Zhonghai was one such example, but the Jian family was even more inaccessible than the Zhou family. How did someone like her come to know President Zhou? Your daughter! Vice President Zhou was about to leave, but upon hearing Bai Qiming's words, he couldn't hide his surprise. You mean Bai Lian? Vice President Zhou remembered that Bai Lian came from Xiangcheng. When she took the assessment in Jiangjing, she caused a sensation. Vice President Zhou had specifically checked her profile, from Xiangcheng with her household registration also in Xiangcheng. Bai Qiming shifted his gaze away from Bai Lian. Yes. Bai Lian, she's a member of the Calligraphy Association. Vice President Zhou glanced at Bai Qiming, then said, she won first place in the youth category at last year's Lanting Award. None of the young talents from the Jiangjing Calligraphy Association could surpass her. I came here today especially to take her to the Calligraphy Association. A special member of the Jiangjing Calligraphy Association had joined the Xiangcheng Calligraphy Association, and Vice President Zhou believed Bai Lian had great potential for the future. Her talent not only gained Vice President Zhou's recognition, but her potential also made it natural for him to personally come to the hotel to pick her up. After saying this, he smiled at Bai Qiming and left. Bai Lian's residence was in Xiangcheng, and the way she acted, as if she didn't know Bai Qiming, indicated something to Vice President Zhou. Vice President Zhou left with a carefree attitude. In the hotel lobby, it took Bai Qiming a long time to come back to his senses. He knew nothing about calligraphy, nor the significance of the Lanting Award, and was only shocked by Vice President Zhou's remark about specially taking her to the Calligraphy Association. Bai Lian. She knew calligraphy. In his memory, Bai Lian seemed to have never learned it, and Vice President Zhou appeared to hold her in high esteem. President Bai, the assistant, who had also been watching Bai Lian leave, softly called out to Bai Qiming. Bai Qiming snapped back to reality, remembering that today was for Bai Shaoqi's celebratory banquet, Jiangjing University's celebratory banquet. Jiangjing University, he let go of the matter with Bai Lian. In the hotel manager's office behind the lobby, the manager was out, and Bai Qiming waited for an extra 10 minutes. The Bai family was a VIP client of the hotel, so as soon as the manager came in, he greeted Bai Qiming with an apologetic smile. President Bai, sorry for the wait. Mr. Zai was delayed by an impromptu meeting. Mr. Zai is here. Bai Qiming set down his teacup, temporarily shelving the matter about Bai Lian, surprised. To whom exactly was a detail the lobby manager had no clearance to know. He only knew Mr. Zai and the floor manager were personally hosting, not even the floor they were on. Bai Qiming looked up. Might it be that Dean Jian? 5 in the afternoon. At Baikeng Airport, Dean Jian got off the airplane. A middle-aged man with a suitcase followed him. Dean Jian, are we heading to the Bai Lian guest house? Their car is waiting. As soon as Baikeng Conservatory of Music heard that Dean Jian was coming, they quickly got in touch with Old Hu was accompanying the dean. Not yet. Dean Jian stopped and took out his phone to make a call. The call was to Bai Lian. It was picked up after just 2 rings. Dean Jian? "It's me," Dean Jian casually remarked as he watched the cars outside. "How is your writing coming along?" He was referring to composing. Bai Lian always refrained from writing new songs, which made Dean Jian anxious. "I had some inspiration last night and wrote a segment." Bai Lian had just returned from a trip to the Calligraphy Association with Qiu Zuzhang, and the qualification assessment of the Xiang Cheng Calligraphy Association would take a few more days. "Is that so?" Hearing that she had written a segment, Dean Jian quickly said, "Where are you staying?" He was eager to know what style Bai Lian had composed this time. "Jiahao." "Okay." Dean Jian hung up the call and then told Old Hu, "Let's go to Jiahao." Dean Jian had 2 personal assistants, being a busy man with 3 students, a school to manage, and the Cultural Bureau's Gazheng issues. His assistants were people who had been with him for a while. Jian, second update. 2, after his last trip to Xiangcheng, he let go of an assistant, leaving only his confidant, Lao Hu. But even Lao Hu didn't know whom Dean Jian was on the phone with. Judging by the dean's tone, it must be someone out of the ordinary. Jiahao Hotel. By the time Dean Jian had checked in, it was already 6 o'clock. His room was on the 56th floor, but he didn't go there first. Instead, he headed straight to the 11th floor to find Bai Lian. "Why are you staying on a lower floor?" Dean Jian asked casually after he walked in. "The lower the floor, the worse the view." Bai Lian commented, "I'm a bit afraid of heights." Lao Hu followed Dean Jian into the room and saw Bai Lian's stunning look, even more beautiful than the celebrity Yan Lu who went to the school to record songs. Could this be another star? Source, Novgo.co. Lao Hu thought to himself. Dean Jian was here for her compositions. He sat down at the table in the lobby, urging Bai Lian, "Show me your composition." Bai Lian casually tossed her backpack to Dean Jian. The content of the backpack was simple. Lao Hu looked on as Dean Jian pulled out a bunch of English documents. He had learned English, but didn't understand what they were. He felt a little puzzled. Dean Jian only found 2 sheets of music written in Jianpu notation at the very bottom of the pile. Bai Lian poured tea for the 2 of them, and Lao Hu quickly said thank you, his eyes drawn to the Jianpu notation in Dean Jian's hands. As his confidant, Lao Hu was familiar with it, as Dean Jian had been studying Jianpu notation for the last 6 months. He recognized it as a melody at first glance. Putting together the fact that Dean Jian went straight to Bai Lian without even going to his room, Lao Hu suddenly remembered something and looked at Bai Lian. Dean Jian, who had spent a lot of time in Jiangjing, was unassuming. He used to like playing The White-Robed Journey, and later became obsessed only with the compositions of a very famous online composer named Bai Jian. Bai Jian's compositions could stand up to scrutiny. The first piece, Gambling with Liquor, had the style of The White-Robed Journey, and the latest piece even surpassed Gambling with Liquor in how well it melded with the Gazheng, even more so than The White-Robed Journey. Yan Lu's songs had been arranged for various instruments at the Jiangjing Music Academy. The Gazheng, bamboo flute, pipa, harp. Many speculated about Bai Jian's identity, most believing it was one of the few musical giants who were on a par with Dean Jian. Lao Hu had also speculated this before, but now, as he looked at Bai Lian, a preposterous idea surged in his mind. Dean Jian took note of the Jianpu notation, and having grasped Bai Lian's current style, he began to rush her to continue writing. "Hurry up and write." Bai Lian sat across from Dean Jian and leisurely poured herself a cup of tea. "It takes time." Oh, when Dean Jian arrived, he saw high school graduates taking group photos downstairs and thought of Bai Lian. "How did the exams go for you?" What he really wanted to ask was, "Can you really make it to Jiang University?" Bai Lian's eyes drifted toward the window, and she just smiled. "Not bad," she replied. "College entrance exam?" Lao Hu's face was expressionless. Was she a college entrance exam candidate? So was she going to Jiangyan next? Lao Hu could already predict how lively it would be at Jiangyan once Dean Jian's favored person arrived. "There's a national-style music festival in Baikeng in a few days. I have a program. Why don't you go look for some inspiration?" Dean Jian remembered this and drank some tea, then looked down at the teapot, surprised. When had this damned hotel's tea gotten so good? National style music consisted of instruments like guzheng, pipa, bamboo flute. Bai Lian also took a sip of tea, her eyes narrowing slightly, lazily saying, "It depends." Her dog friend was still waiting for her. She had a bit of a headache. This trip to Baikeng was not only for the Calligraphy Association, but also to check on that person for the original owner of her body. Next to Dean Jian, Lao Hu, with an impassive face, was thinking. A program by Dean Jian was something others would vie for intensely. Dean Jian personally invited her, and she could still say, "It depends." It must be you, Bai Jian. It wasn't just Dean Jian who was concerned about how Bai Lian did on her exams. Baikeng High School. In the principal's office, he spoke to Guo Yueking. "Mrs. Guo, I'm well acquainted with the principal of Baiyan, but I'm not sure I can get the tickets. You also know who is going to be there. Students from Jiangyan will all rush over." "I understand." Guo Yueking set down her gift, her smile gentle. "Shaoqi and Shaoqi have troubled you with so many things. Next month, Shaoqi is going to have dinner with Professor Jiang. I wonder if you might be available." Professor Jiang, a professor at Jiangjing University. Also the teacher of Bai Shaoqi's lab, the principal replied gravely, "Mrs. Guo, don't worry." Guo Yueking nodded at him, then left. After she left, the homeroom teacher of the international class came in from outside. Looking at the gift Guo Yueking had left, he told the principal, "Bai Lian has returned." "Bai Lian? What has she come back for?" The principal was stunned. "I saw it in the class group." The homeroom teacher thought of the last scores he saw. Bai Lian was weak in the sciences, but her mathematics were always perfect. "Math is so difficult. Do you think she can still get a perfect score this time?" The principal wasn't sure what to think either, and Guo Yueking's intentions were easy to guess. But he couldn't see through Bai Lian. With such good grades, why didn't she show it when she was at Baikeng High School? "Xiancheng doesn't have teaching resources for 3 months. The principal sat down, his fingers drumming on the desk, shaking his head. "The math problems have changed so much. None of us expected this. She probably doesn't have an advantage. And the science part is even harder. Her sciences are weak. Song Min has a very good chance of becoming the provincial top scorer." That made sense. The homeroom teacher of the international class felt unease. But what does it mean for Jiangjing to make the exam so difficult this time? Those in the field of education are much more sensitive than the average person. Jiangjing didn't make its exams difficult often, but this time the difficulty was beyond everyone's expectations. It felt as though a change was coming. They, like the teachers at Xiancheng High School, all thought that Song Min was the one Bai Lian was competing against, not knowing that Bai Lian never set her sights on Baikeng. If she really only aimed for the provincial top scorer, Liang Ziyuan might have to crawl out from the ground to her bedside. Hotel. The principal of Baiyan carried a box of tea with him, respectfully ringing the doorbell of room 5615. Jian Zhangyu preferred tranquility. He came alone to visit, not bringing along the other bunch from the music association and the school. The room was at the end of the corridor, with soft carpets underfoot. Even though there was no one around him, the Baiyan principal maintained an extremely respectful demeanor. The door quickly opened from the inside. Seeing the person, the Baiyan principal was very polite. "Assistant Hu?" "Principal Luo." Old Hu nodded slightly to him and then stepped aside to let Principal Luo in. The room booked by Dean Jian was also a small suite, all for the convenience of meeting guests. He had just finished talking to Bai Lian and hadn't been back in his room for long. After making a round between the small living room and the bedroom, he only saw welcome fruits and tea bags without any actual tea. Source: Novgo.co tea. The hotel customer service also found it surprising, but they were eager to satisfy the guest's request. "Of course, please wait a moment." Principal Luo saw him hang up the phone before setting down the gift box, saying respectfully, "Dean Jian, here are the tickets you asked for in the first row of the VIP section." He handed over a ticket. Surprised, Jian Zhangyu wondered which big shot this ticket was prepared for. It was the first time in many years that he had asked for a ticket from someone. "Thank you for the trouble." Jian Zhangyu accepted the ticket. "It's Baikeng's fortune that you come here to perform voluntarily every year," Principal Luo said earnestly. Aside from this ticket, is there anything else you need? Although Jian Zhangyu didn't like the Jian family, he still harbored love for his hometown. He came here once a year, the last time being in October of the previous year. That's all, don't be nervous, I still don't know if she will go. Dean Jian was feeling frustrated. Bai Lian might not even attend at all. He felt somewhat depressed. Principal Luo cast his eyes downward, inwardly astonished. Who was this she? That Dean Jian was actually worried about whether she would go or not, but he did not dare to ask more. Just then the waiter brought in a pot of tea, and Dean Jian took it to look. Good Lord, it was also tea made from tea bags. Dean Jian expressionlessly set down the teapot. Next to him, Principal Luo took a sip of the tea the waiter poured for him. The tea bags used by the hotel were also top quality, but Dean Jian seemed somewhat dissatisfied. Downstairs, Bai Lian's dinner was still specially delivered by the server, along with a pot of tea. The amount of food on the dining cart wasn't a lot. Bai Lian glanced at it and casually snapped a photo to send to Jiang Fulai. Scrolling down the page on her phone, it was still on her chat with her dog friend. Dog friend, 6 by Jian. 1 dog friend, link, / number at. And this was the link to the Cold Season Tassels album. Her dog friend was a fervent fan of Yan Lu, and every time Yan Lu released a collector's edition song, she would have Bai Lian help her snatch it up. But Yan Lu released few collector's discs. The dog friend had only managed to snap up 2. Gambling with liquor was quite unknown at the start, and fewer people vied for it. Bai Lian poured through the sparse memories in her head about her. The original host had known her since childhood. Although they both liked racing, fighting, and skipping school, her academic performance was much better than the original host's. She had been admitted to the international class. Bai Lian glanced at the chat window, her eyes narrowing slightly. Jai Heng had hardly interacted with the original host, and Jai Mulin, although she spent a lot of time with the original host, only cared about force-feeding education, paying no mind to the original host's spirit. But this dog friend was different. She was very familiar with the original host. Bai Lian stared at the chat box for a long time before finally typing a line of text. Jiang Fulai's reply came quickly. When are you coming back? Bai Lian thought it over. If things went smoothly, she would probably need about 3 more days. She sent back a number. Teacher Jiang, meanwhile. In Baikeng, rose-colored clubhouse private room. Sorry, I was tied up with a family matter yesterday, Bai Shaoqi said, smiling to the students from the international class, and couldn't make it to dine with everyone. Just eat and play as you like today. Shaoqi, you're too generous. The class leader, Kong Yifan, holding a glass of wine and looking around the clubhouse, clicked his tongue in amazement. If it wasn't for you and Song Min, I would never have the chance to come to such a place in my life. The rose-colored clubhouse was the best in Baikeng, operating on a membership basis. The membership fees alone were $1 million each year. The rest of the class nodded fervently, with people playing board games, drinking, and playing werewolf. It was lively. Bai Shaoqi, however, was indifferent. The rose-colored might be the best in Baikeng, but she heard from Mrs. Song that there were several clubs in Jiangjing that even the Yin family could not get into. She withdrew her gaze and walked over to where Song Min was. Song Min was talking to the class teacher. Seeing Bai Shaoqi arrive, his expression brightened slightly. You've come at just the right time. Have you discussed any difficult math problems with your brother these past 2 days? Min's table was among the top 10 students in their class. Upon hearing this, they all turned to look at Bai Shaoqi, aware that her brother had been the top scholar the previous year. Only Song Min's gaze was fixed on the table across from him, where a girl in a black skull shirt adorned with a black chain around her chest was playing cards with someone. Wen Zhixia, he knew she was Bai Lian's only friend at the school. No, our family is busy trying to get us tickets to a concert, Bai Shaoqi said as she elegantly poured herself a glass of wine. Kong Yifan exclaimed in shock. Jiangyan's concert. Right, I remember Shaoqi. You're excellent at the Guzhang Dam. Isn't Dean Jian also there? I recall he's Yan Lu's arranger. For those who weren't students of music, Dean Jian's name wasn't as useful as Yan Lu's. Song Min came back to his senses, glanced at Bai Shaoqi with surprise, and asked, You got tickets already? Bai Shaoqi gave a slight nod. Yes. Remember to take pictures, we've never been to such a place. Kong Yifan said excitedly to Bai Shaoqi, I wonder if Yan Lu's compositions will be there. Not sure, Bai Shaoqi sighed when compositions were mentioned. I've tried to contact them many times, but that person is peculiar and refuses to compose for anyone other than Yan Lu. Those who study art often have a bit of temperament, Song Min said softly. Across the room, the long-haired girl sitting beside Wen Zhixia sighed as she looked at Song Min's group and said, This is high society for you. Why on earth would Miss Bai think of going to Xiancheng? Oh, right, Wen Zhixia, you know Bai Lian, don't you? Has she really gone back to Xiancheng? I don't know, boss, Wen Zhixia responded indifferently. Come on, I'm playing a 9 and you're playing the king. You're not letting us win even the small hands. The long-haired girl couldn't believe it. Wen Zhixia remained silent and slowly played her hand. Why hasn't Yan Lu released a new song? Someone asked suddenly. The long-haired girl said, Damn, even if she did, we couldn't snatch up her collector's hit. Wen Zhixia had 10 people trying and still didn't get Han Shixu. Too many rivals, Wen Zhixia remarked. Her phone lit up. Silly dog. Location, silly dog. I'm in Baikeng. Wen Zhixia paused for a moment, playing her cards more carelessly now as she raised an eyebrow. Doggy friend. I thought Miss Bai had forgotten that I'm in Baikeng. When Zhixia glanced at the location Bai Lian had sent, which was at a hotel, swiftly finished her round of cards, and then excused herself from the table before leaving the clubhouse. The long-haired girl looked up. Leaving so soon? The rose-colored clubhouse, eh? You're not going to play a bit longer. You might not have the chance to come here again. When Zhixia shook her head. She had been indifferent to the place from the moment she walked in. After she left, the voices in the private room grew louder. When Zhixia left, Kong Yifan, who was sitting next to Bai Shaoqi, was surprised. Bai Shaoqi glanced in the direction Wen Zhixia had gone. There was no Wen family in Baikeng. Her family background was average, and she was never on Bai Shaoqi's list of people to ingratiate herself with. Probably something came up. Zun Guan from the humanities class next door was known for his ability to put some people down while praising others. Remembering seeing Bai Lian at the hotel the day before, she laughed. I wonder if she's going to see Bai Lian. Shaoqi, do you think Bai Lian will manage to test back into Baikeng? The others at the table laughed. Haha, who knows, but certainly not as high as our Song Min and Shaoqi. Room 1108. Bai Lian had intended to find a time to meet with Wen Zhixia somewhere else. But before she could decide, Wen Zhixia called her. Which room are you in? Her voice was crisp and decisive. 5 minutes later, Wen Zhixia adjusted the exaggerated chain around her neck, looked up at room 1108. She had a short bob, stood tall, and was dressed in punk-style clothing. Her features were quite androgynous. As she approached room 1108 and was about to press the doorbell, the door opened just then. The person who opened the door was a girl in a white homeware dress, her jet-black hair falling entirely down her back and trailing down to her soft homeware. Her skin tone was a cold white, her eyes lazy, and upon seeing her she merely stepped aside slightly. Arrived! Come in! As if she knew Wen Zhixia had just arrived outside the door. Wen Zhixia looked at the girl before her. She was very different from her memory, and Wen Zhixia paused before following her in. Inside was a small living room with a square table in the center, upon which sat a purple clay teapot surrounded by 4 matching teacups. Next to the sofa was an antique zither. And that was it. Whether it was the purple clay teapot or the zither, they were at odds with Bai Lian from memory.